Good evening and welcome to Channel 8 Sports and our 1987 football preview show. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro and I'm pleased to be joined again by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill, our regular crew, as we begin our 1987 coverage of the East Brunswick High School Bears. Guys, good to see you back again. I'm sure the cat doesn't have your tongues.
No, it's great to be back.
Let us out of the...
Relax, relax. We got a lot to talk about tonight especially, and unlike last year where we did the show before the season, right now East Brunswick has completed one game, and that's the game against Cherokee. So we want to start there and talk about that game a little bit, and then look at the upcoming Brick game and see, you know, where the Bears are going and some of the assessment that you fellas have made since both of you were at the game. So why don't we start, Phil, your assessment of the Cherokee game?
Well, the Cherokee game, again, it's a game that you just have to put in perspective. I had spoken to Jim Horner, the coach of Cherokee, this summer, and Jim said that he would field the best team that he's ever fielded. And when you consider that he's had a number of state championship teams, for a coach to come right out and say that, he had to feel pretty good about what was coming back this year. Cherokee was a superb team. I don't know what they're rated in the state right now, but I would not be surprised if they ended up #1 in the state. East Brunswick played Cherokee extremely well. When you consider the fact that Sean Smith, one of your leading linemen for East Brunswick, didn't play at all due to an injury. When you consider the fact, perhaps if they had 30 more seconds, they very easily could have won the game. East Brunswick did themselves proud. I don't think East Brunswick will see a line offensively or defensively like Cherokee's again, and I don't think that there are many in the state that exist that are good as Cherokee. They're an excellent team.
Okay, Jen?
John, I think that was the key, the size of the line, and there are a couple of instances where Cherokee outweighed East Brunswick by 100 pounds per player, and I thought the Bears did a really excellent job just containing Cherokee's line for a period of time. But there's one thing I think that the Bears ought to be proud of, and it was something that occurred in last year's game, if you remember, in the fourth quarter. Conditioning played a factor. If we were watching the game on Saturday, and again, cramps were starting to turn up in the Cherokee players, whereas the East Brunswick players continue to play with no problems. And I think that was a major factor in the comeback, and I guess we're going to talk a little bit more about the comeback because there was a lot of nice things to see about that.
Well, Jim, you're right. Marcus Borden coach teams really feel that the fourth quarter belongs to them. He's drilled that into them, and he's had them prepared condition-wise. And people in the stands were talking. I was for one was talking about, well, wait till the fourth quarter. And when the fourth quarter came, it made a big difference. It really did.
Yeah, I had the stats here from the game as provided by Bill Munyon from East Brunswick, and Cherokee had 395 total yards. East Brunswick had 231. So you're looking at well over 600 yards of total offense in a high school game. So that gives you some indication. Obviously the score does, but the kind of activity that was happening back and forth up and down the field.
Yeah, well, the game started out with Mark Harmon running back the kickoff 86 yards. Okay, so that was instant offense right there, and two-point conversion by Brian Forte, who I guess we'll talk about a little bit more. 8-0 lead, and then Cherokee comes back and really established itself in the first half. I think the real backbreaker was a touchdown with a couple of seconds left in the first half, and they gave them a 21-14 lead. And East Brunswick did have some problems with jitters. I mean, this is a young team, and I think that's something we're going to have to point to. As much quality as East Brunswick has on this team this year, and it's going to carry them a long way, you know, hopefully to a state playoff and finally, you know, a state championship. The real skill players, the dominant players, are still juniors. You know, so we're talking about this year. Or last year we were talking about this year. Right. Well, this year we could talk about next year. You know, and it's that sort of situation. But there were some problems in the first half. They were pretty evident on the field, and they cost the Bears in some rather key situations. But once they settled down, and once Cherokee started to tire, that's when the real East Brunswick team sort of kicked into gear. And I'll tell you what, I don't know how you felt, Phil, but I saw things out there that you rarely see in high school football. You know, the quality of a number of players out there. We're going to see them this year.
Yeah.
I think any other team, or at least a lot of other teams, probably if they had to face a line like Cherokee had, with the intense pressure that Cherokee was creating, might have given up. Might have just said, hey, we just cannot deal with these guys. East Brunswick's smaller linemen fought to the end, and in the end they were playing better than Cherokee. One thing that really strikes me, all of last year, and I remember distinctly, Brian Forte was never really sacked. I believe once the whistle was blown because somebody had him in the grass, but that was the extent of it. But this game here, he looked like Phil Simms against Chicago. I mean, he got knocked around quite a bit.
It's a good analogy.
And he survived it. He can take a hit,
Yes.
and I don't think he's going to have to take too many more hits. But I was impressed that the way he came back after taking some very solid shots.
John, I'd like to ask Phil a quick question while it's in my mind. You, of course, were able to see Joe Thiesman. You saw Drew play, Drew Pearson. Now you've seen Brian. Is there any way that Brian is approaching that class? Does he have that type of potential?
Good question.
Brian Forte has the ability to become an extremely good quarterback. First of all, I must also say up front, I've never have seen a high school quarterback that could compete with Joe Thiesman.
Okay.
Thiesman, as we knew him.
Yeah.
Joe Thiesman was the best high school quarterback that I've ever seen. Brian Forte has the ability to be the best quarterback in the state of New Jersey.
That's quite a statement, isn't it?
He's a junior right now.
He is.
He's he'll be a senior next year, and I don't see anybody that can do the things that he does. You were talking about earlier about Horner was singing his praise.
Yes, I wanted to point that out. Jim Horner, as he alluded to, the Cherokee coach, so well respected throughout the state for the quality program that he's produced at Cherokee, was just singing the praises of Forte. He was saying, we had this guy covered over, we had him covered under, through the middle. There, you know, talking about passing, there was no way that he should have completed the passes that he did. Now that tells me a lot. That tells me, first of all, about his natural ability, about Brian's natural ability. It tells me a lot about his intelligence, his ability to adjust, because in order to find receivers that weren't open, he had to create situations, and we saw him rolling out. We saw him dropping back. We saw him run. He literally was the single most important element for the Bears, being able to mount that drive that just came up short, you know, at the end of the game.
I had a chance to see Brian during the preseason, if you will, of high school, during the scrimmages, and was very impressed by his comfort in the position this year. You know, last year, being a sophomore, there's a lot of pressure, learning an offense, trying to learn players, you know, approaches, coaches, so forth. I noticed during the preseason, or the practice session of leading up to the season, that he was much more comfortable, much more relaxed, throwing the ball extremely well, taking charge, and really commanding a respect that a quarterback needs in that huddle and on the field. So there's a maturing process that we're going on.
Right. I'm sorry, John.
No, and so that in itself is going to help. I mean, because they rally around him, and the feeling is much like, and we all remember when Thiesman played, the same atmosphere existed there too. They were down at one point 33-14, East Brunswick. We can still come back. You know,
there was a point in that game where I think the major concern was East Brunswick escaping with its dignity and not being embarrassed.
Sure.
You know, and all of a sudden they came back. But what really I think is another important element is the quality of the pass receivers for East Brunswick. You know, you could be the greatest quarterback in the world. If you don't have anybody to throw to, you know, you're just not going to do well. And there is some major league potential in the East Brunswick lineup this year that only needs to develop. A good example was Raymond Trent. Okay, now this guy never wore a football helmet until this year. First pass that was thrown to him. Let's you know, put it up front. He should have had it, and it should have gone for a touchdown, but he dropped it. But after that, he came through with some fantastic catches, and he is going to. I mean, his speed. He's the fastest guy on the team, and he's going to move. Any other pass catchers?
Well, I would like to talk about Trent a little bit also. I observed, and I think I can pick up talent when I see it. This kid, no, seriously.
This is an all-state pass receiver,
no,
folks.
No, it wasn't. That was my brother, see? But, this Trent kid has, for someone that's just coming out playing football, and Jerry Yanchuk has worked with him very much and has done a real fine job
Assistant
in
coach
developing
for East
him.
Brunswick.
And this kid has tremendous speed, has great ability to get open, and all he has to do is catch the ball more consistently, and he will. He will. He on a crucial third down play, he made a very big catch. He has to get rid of a few what I call yay-ahs. Those are when, you're in the open and the crowd goes yay, and they go because you dropped it. If he gets a few, I know about them personally, but if he gets once he gets a few of them out of the way, this kid is going to be a very good receiver.
Yeah. And let me just point out that, is it Ramon? Ramon. Had 2 catches for 73 yards total, so 36.5 yards per catch. That's a nice debut.
It is.
He's their deep threat, but Marcus Borden has developed the run and shoot offense. I think we've heard some about it, and I had spoken to him early in the year, and I think his plan was to not come out in the first half with the run and shoot, but save it to the second half with Cherokee and then surprise him. But Cherokee's defensive pressure was just too intense. But with the run and shoot offense, it's a great concept for the type of talent that he has. What we're talking about basically is spreading out. You have the split ends spread out on each side. You have 2 backs in the slots, and many times you have a back going in motion before the snap of the ball. The whole intent of it is to flood an area. And if you remember last year, we often talked about the pass patterns that were run. Borden would have his receivers flood an area. Well, now they're putting more receivers in there than a linebacker or the defensive backs could possibly cover. The receivers going out have to be intelligent because they have to read the defense. And they read and make adjustments while they're going out. And you have to have a heady quarterback that can adjust as well. Marcus had talked about real early this summer that he was going to have Brian drop back, strictly drop back instead of roll out. But I think and I don't think they'll ever see such pressure like they had in Cherokee. But if they do start getting pressure, you can bet he's going to have Brian go to the rollout again to avoid the pressure. And Brian has the ability to hit the receivers on the run, as he has shown.
Well, and that's another dynamic, if you will, of the East Brunswick offense. And I do want to get to the East Brunswick defense. I don't want people, but that is that the backfield men are not only quite capable runners, but excellent pass receivers. And so instead of now looking at 2 key receivers or a team focusing in only on 2 receivers, you really have to be concerned with 4, maybe 5 if you get into a run and shoot type of offense. So that's that added dimension. And then with a fellow like Forte with that kind of arm and wherewithal, I mean, you can see why it's such a potent offense.
Well, they're going to drive people crazy too, because once that starts clicking, then it's going to spread the defense out, and then you're going to let the DeVitos and Harmons loose on the ground, and it's going to drive people batting.
John, it's very important to mention that with this loss, 33-27, that it was against one of the top-rated teams in the state. And I was listening to Coach Borden after the game talking. The first thing he said to his team, he says, look, we're a darn good football team. This is not the end of the season. We've got, I think he said, 10 more games to go. And what he's including also is the state playoffs. East Brunswick, if it wins the rest of its slate, will qualify for the state championships. I'm almost certain about that. And but that means that they're going to have to not go. They're going to have to go the season without any more losses, and they're going to have to play Stevens again. They're going to have to play Stevens, and there's some good teams on the schedule.
Oh yeah. It's starting with Brick, which is coming up tonight. And so that's a big game, in and of itself. I want to flip the coin, though, and let's look at that defense. And people might say, they gave up 33 points. There's not much to talk about. I don't believe that. you could look at it that way. Yeah, they gave up 33 points, and they did, but they also held them when it was crucial in that fourth quarter to allow that offense to get back in the ball game.
Exactly.
Because if you got into a match for match, score for score, you're out of it. I mean, you're down already. You know, at one point, 33-14. So, and they're young, and they're going to make some mistakes. And as Phil said, they matched up with a team quite bigger, you know, much bigger rather.
One of the things I've always noticed about Marcus Borden and his coaching staff is that they do have the ability to learn from their mistakes, and they can adjust. Marcus has an excellent crew there, and yeah, it was true that they were burned a couple of times in some rather key situations, and Cherokee was, of course, methodical in other situations. They moved the ball down really well, but I believe East Brunswick will learn from this experience. There's just so much to glean from a loss like this. I think the team now has a newfound dignity about 1987. They know what they can do with the ball. They know that, as you said, the defense knows what it has to do to be able to stop another team. And I think they're going to do quite a job this year because of this losing experience.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Jim. You know, sometimes there is that silver lining in the cloud, and this may be the case. I believe it anyway. So.
The defense, speaking about the defense, I guess everything starts with that man in the middle, and Matt Miller is as aggressive as you want to see a player this year. He is the guy in the middle there that is really doing the job from his linebacking position. And you have Joey DeVito, who you know is just an awesome hitter. I don't know, if I were a coach, I'd have Joey there constantly. He's just a natural when it comes to playing defense. A friend of yours, Jimmy, Seth Ugar, I noticed seemed to be around the ball quite a bit last week. You have a few new names coming up. A young man by the name of Hack, who I was impressed with, and then you have Flynn, John Flynn. John Flynn seemed to be very impressive also. So they got some hitters, and they got some people that know how to play defense. And of course, they have their old standbys, Bill Bruneg and Harmon, and a number of the other people that go both ways.
Funny talking with Marcus this summer, and his philosophy. He says we've got a new philosophy with defense, much like the old Miami, you know, killer bees. He said same approach. Swarm. Where that ball carriers, you swarm. He says, I don't want to see one or two guys, I want to see five guys there. And I guess some teams it's easier than others, and obviously Cherokee, they had a little problem with that at first. But again, it's a learning process, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. Yeah.
Also important to mention that because of the depth on the team, there's going to be situations where Mark Harmon can take a rest. DeVito can take a rest. People that contribute on offense. You know, these guys don't have to be playing both ways all the time because, you know, East Brunswick is deep. They have a lot of good people that can come in and do the job. And I think that's also going to be an important factor.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. Hey, anytime you can keep a Mark Harmon or a Joe DeVito and off the field for, you know, 10, 15 minutes, let them catch their breath, get re-energized again, it's got to be to your advantage. And even some of the linemen, and I don't want to, you know, miss out on some of the linemen. We tend to always kind of overlook these guys.
Sure.
But the guys in the pits are the ones who do it. And coming back 33-14, someone was blocking, someone was, you know, opening up some holes now and then. And
one I think we should mention is Sofoconic. He's one of the co-captains along with Billy Brunig this year. And I think it says a lot that Don Sofoconic is a captain because, you know, how often do you get an offensive lineman?
Yeah.
But I had the pleasure of talking to him on the phone this year doing an article for the Sentinel, and he's a remarkable guy. He really is. He's tremendous leadership ability, and I think he is just the right type, you know, to lead East Brunswick this year.
He's somewhat of a free spirit, isn't he?
I won't go so far.
I was watching him on the sidelines a few times, but no, he's developed himself tremendously this summer. Anytime you go by the weight room, he's one of the steady guys there and did a good job, and I think he's going to be a good leader for the team.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Dave Clark, quiet but does a very good job. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, you know, Sean Smith with that ankle injury. I mean, those three guys, there's some quality there. You put those three together.
We have the steady guys too. We tend, like you said, we had Kammerer,
That's right.
Gene
Di Giovanni,
Rob
Perez, and those are the guys that do it day in and day out.
right.
And a lot of times we don't give them their propers, but they're doing the job.
Yeah. All right, so East Brunswick rebounds. I haven't been to any practice this past week, so I don't know what it's been like. I'm sure Marcus is gearing him up for Brick, and in a few minutes, the three of us will be there to bring to our viewers the game against Brick. Let's talk about Brick, a perennial powerhouse in South Jersey. The last 2 or 3 years, they've hit on some hard times.
Well, Warren Wolf's not going to, keep. Brick's just not going to stay down too much. Like you say, they have history on their sides. They develop players and whatnot, and they may hit a few rough spots, but you can bet they're going to be back. They had, if I recall from last year, they had quite a few young players last year. So these players will be a year older, and Brick tends to always play East Brunswick rather well.
They do.
I can tell you also that they finished out the season with 5 wins in a row. I'm not sure about the quality of the opponents.
5 wins is 5 wins.
And remember that quarterback. I don't remember his name, but he was a sophomore last year.
That's right.
Okay, now he's a junior, and with Warren Wolf, the head coach, they have a fluid offense. I think this is the right team for East Brunswick to play at this time. It would be unfortunate if they had to go against one of the weaker teams on their schedule, because I think there would be a chance for complacency to set in, perhaps. I'm not sure on that, but I like the fact that it's another opponent that they're, the fact that Brick is from Ocean County gives it a little more intersectional appeal, and it's probably a little bit more, the state is sort of looking on the game, and I think it's the right opponent for them to play at this time.
I agree, and I also agree with Phil in terms of the nature of the rivalry that's existed between East Brunswick and Brick. They've always played us tough. Even last year, there was a lot of concern there for the first half, and then between the weather and everything else. But I must say this: Brick is one of the classiest organizations that I've seen, and on the field at least. In terms of the game, Warren Wolf's out to win. But after the game, his kids are over there shaking hands. He's one of the first to come across the field. So, and that breeds winning at some point, and you can fall back on that when things get tough, and I think they are. I think another issue down there, too, is the breakup of Brick, from Brick Township to Brick Memorial, which is somewhat diluted, I guess, their programs. And maybe now they're out of that process.
I think they're probably out of it. They're probably like Edison and J.P. Stevens were for a while. It hurt both of them, but I think now Brick and Brick Township, they both sort of arrived at their own.
Are you telling me there was a time that J.P. Stevens did not field a good team?
I
can't remember.
But Edison suffered because of the separation. Right.
And the same with Madison Central and Cedar Ridge, that split there. You take 10 quality players on any team and then 5 go away, it's a problem.
John, I'm looking at the schedule here, and I can tell you that there really is not a weak team on this, that the Bears will be playing this year. After Brick, we're going to be going over to Madison Central. And Madison Central, I think, did they shut out the Bears last year?
They surprised the Bears.
Exactly.
They really did.
Yeah, and then, of course, Edison is going to be on the schedule, and they have a superb quarterback by the name of Mike Boslett, and that's going to be...
That's right. We saw him last year.
So he's going to be back. Woodbridge was 6-2. They not too many people remember, but Woodbridge tied for the conference championship last year with East Brunswick and J.P. Stevens. They had a 6-2-1 record, so they're always good. Perth Amboy, we all know that was the sort of the nail in the coffin that eliminated the Bears from the game. And so when I talk to the players, they point at Madison Central and Perth Amboy as 2 games that they're really looking forward to. And then come October 30th, the day before Halloween, J.P. Stevens. And what a game that's going to be. And then they're going to finish off the regular season with road games at Cedar Ridge, which is on the rebound, and then Saraville, at Saraville. And then the playoffs are going to begin on the first game November 21st. And then if the Bears get past that first round opponent, they're going to go on to a December 5th state championship game.
It's time to put you guys on the spot.
No, here we go again.
Predictions. Jim?
Well, we got a little bit of advantage at this time, right?
Yeah, that's true. Slight advantage.
I guess the question is, are the Bears going to go undefeated for the rest of the year, or are they going to lose another game?
Yeah, that's the question I'm posing to you.
I say they're going to win. They're going to go all the way. I was that impressed with the second half and there's some factors involved here. I think Brian Forte has to stay healthy. Without Brian healthy, East Brunswick's a different club.
Sure.
They're going to have to avoid some other major injuries. I think another of those players that they cannot afford to lose is Mark Harmon. He's instant offense. They really do need him. And I think as long as Mark Harmon and Brian Forte can stay healthy, then East Brunswick is probably going to go the rest of this year without a loss.
All right. Phil?
Well, all right, John, I think, I most definitely think East Brunswick can go the rest of the year without a loss. Marcus Borden, he's like most coaches, he's always talking about taking one game at a time. I really think they can do it. There's a few things that they have to do, though, to ensure that. Jimmy talked about staying healthy. Number two is they have to develop the long snap, both for the shotgun and both for Josh Miller purposes. Josh Miller is probably the finest field goal kicker in the state of New Jersey, but they have to have all the parts together.
Sure.
It can't, I don't know what he spends, but I would spend a great amount of time with the entire team with the ball snap and Josh getting his kicks off until that is gotten down pat, because he's that much of a weapon. He can be that valuable for them, and they have to develop that.
Sure.
If they do that, stay healthy, there's no reason why they can't go undefeated the rest of the year.
Okay. I tend to agree with you guys, surprisingly. My feeling is I don't think, with the exception maybe of Stevens, there's anyone that can really keep up with him. From what I've read and what I understand, almost every team is in a rebuilding stage. Yeah, some teams are at different stages of that rebuilding, but I don't see anyone nearly as complete as East Brunswick's offense and defense. They've got weapons that we've mentioned on the program tonight that are far above and exceed what anyone presently has, with the exception of maybe one or two running backs here in the county somewhere. But I would be greatly surprised if they lost another game this year.
Oh, it's putting a lot of pressure
Really
I
is.
would.
on him.
And anything can happen, obviously, and I mean, we'd all like to see them go undefeated. I would like them to rise to their level of competence. And, you know, and we talked about that last year at a few of the games where they just didn't seem to take it that next step when we knew they could, and everyone in the stands did as well. And I don't think Marcus is going to allow that. I think the Cherokee game was an indication. We're going to give it the best we have, and then you can walk away with your head up and not walk away with what if, I should have done, this should have happened, that kind of thing. So I don't think that's going to happen like last year, and I'd be surprised if anyone. Now, I'm not going to say they're not going to be in some close games, but I'd be surprised if someone beats them.
Of course, we've had a number of situations throughout the years where we've watched, you know, you can have the best of talent, yet if you cannot, you need some breaks along the way.
Sure. Oh, sure.
And East Brunswick still has yet to win on the field a Central Jersey Group 4 championship. They've got to prove it.
But you know, Jim, that's the fun of high school football.
Oh, yeah.
You never know. And that's why we keep coming out.
Exactly.
It's our, fourth year? Phil's third year with us. And every year, we say the same thing, and we make these kind of bold statements. And by the end of the year, maybe we've second-guessed ourselves in a way. But that's the idea of it. And fortunately, I'm glad that you guys will be with us again, and that we at Channel 8 here are going to be able to bring, beginning with the Brick game tonight, the remaining East Brunswick football games, both home and away. Weather permitting, and in some cases technology permitting, whether we have access to some electricity and so forth. But we're going to do our best to be with you and the Bears football team this year. Jimmy, Phil, good to see you again, and I'll see you up in a booth in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
So stay with us, because we're going to move now over to East Brunswick High School and to J. Doyle Stadium, where we'll bring you the Brick East Brunswick game.
Well, good evening, and if you've just joined us, we've come from our preview show. We're here at J. Doyle Field for East Brunswick's home opener against the Brick Township Dragons. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, and I'll be joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill as we here at Channel 8 kick off the 1987 East Brunswick High School football season. Guys, it's great to be back again.
Here we are.
For real.
Okay. As you see, the captains go out for East Brunswick. That's number 2, Brunig, and number 46, Matt Miller. Little insight, guys, before we get going here. Phil, how about Brick?
Well, the Green Dragons have had an off year last season, and they were 4-5, but they won their last 5 games, haven't given up a point in the last 14 quarters, so they found themselves in the second half of last year, and they're just hoping that it's going to carry over until this year.
Okay, and for the Bears, Jim?
Well, I have to tell you, John and Phil, that Brick is an unknown quality this year, but I don't think East Brunswick needs to concern itself as much with Brick as it needs to concern itself with itself. They have enough horses so that if they're on their game, you know, they're just going to win against every team that they play, and I think that's the major concern tonight. Talking to Marcus Borden before the game, he was quite disappointed, believe it or not, in the last 2 minutes of the Cherokee game. He felt strongly. He says there were 3 major mistakes that if the Bears could have avoided them, they could have won. So he was not conceding that it was a great game by any stretch of the imagination.
All right, a beautiful night here at East Brunswick. The Green Dragons of Brick will receive the kickoff, so East Brunswick will be on defense first. East Brunswick is in the dark jerseys or green home jerseys. Brick will be in the visitors' white, and Brick will be moving left to right on your screen as we start off this first quarter of action.
Should mention, John, that the field is in excellent shape, as it always is here at J. Doyle Field. There are no injuries, so that means that Sean Smith should be back after missing last week. We should watch him. And we'll get into the lineups, I guess, as the teams take the field.
Okay, Josh Miller will kick it off for the Bears. And you see the kickoff team out on the field. Brick comes into the game 0-0. This is their first game of the season. As you know, East Brunswick is 0-1, having lost a tough one to Cherokee, top-ranked Cherokee. Cherokee was rated 3rd in the state this week by the Star Ledger.
John, I watched for a good kicking game by Miller. He's improved his distance this year. Against Cherokee last week, he was consistently kicking the ball inside the 5, and I would say he probably is capable of putting it in the end zone on every kick.
Well, before the game, Jim, during practice, Josh was kicking off right from that spot, the 40, and was consistently putting him into the end zone. So you may be right.
Well, Josh has gone to a number of camps again this year, and again, he's been probably the best thing at the camps that he's attended. So, as you point out, good things are going to come his way.
Phil, when Brick goes on offense, I guess the person to watch is the quarterback, Todd Durkin.
Todd Durkin is third year at the helm there, and he's a junior, so he's a very good one.
Played as a freshman.
Okay, we're about ready to start this game off, the home opener for the Bears. Here we go. High kick by Miller. Going to be fielded by the Brick man at about the 5-yard line. And he's upended around the 15.
That was DeVito, John, that nailed him at the 13-yard line. And 2 yards, well, actually, he got 5 yards on his momentum, but that was a nice play by Joe DeVito.
Well, he actually broke the wedge to make the tackle, and they talk about their specialty teams being the Jesse James gang, and it has to be an added plus for them to have that group terribly excited each time they take the field.
First down for the Green Dragons at their own 15. And if you've ever seen Brick before, you're aware that they use the Delaware wing T on offense. And generally, that's a second back through type of offense.
Exactly.
Very confusing to the defensive linemen. Durkin is the quarterback, and he's a man to watch. He's got some talent. Durkin, inside handoff. Big hole. That's number 47 for Brick. That's Dave Christopher, and Christopher picks up the first down.
That was a saving tackle there on the part of Harmon. If he didn't make that tackle, he was gone.
Christopher is their main man. They'll be giving the ball to him a lot. As you can see, their helmets, they look like the University of Delaware. They've been running that wing T for 30 years now.
Just to give you some defensive faces for the Bears, in the second, Rulo, 17, is playing along with Matt Miller and DiGiovanni.
All right, 1st and 10 for Brick on their own 34. We've just started first period action. Durkin looking to throw, looking inside, and overthrows his man, number 96. That was Matt Stefanski.
Yeah.
Sorry. Jeez.
Mark Harmon made him pay for even attempting to get the ball. He gave him quite a shot.
Some other starters for East Brunswick: John Flynn, 55, Mike Hack, 63,
And Sean Smith, as we mentioned, is back in there, 75. And Mark Flynn, number 91, is at left end.
All right, that'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the Green Dragons. Durkin sets 2 men wide left. And it's an inside handoff. It's Christopher again. He'll pick up about 3 yards.
That was Shannon Holcomb on the tackle. Shannon was nursing an injury the last week, and he didn't see too much action, but he was in on that one. And by the way, Kevin Maloney, number 12, is the defensive back on the other side, along with Captain Billy Bruning in the middle.
And John, that's an example of what you're talking about, that Borden wants everybody swarming. Just a host of tacklers there that time.
Ball is spotted at about the 37-yard line of Brick. 3rd and 7. Again, wide left for Brick. 2 wide receivers. I formation. Durkin will roll to his left. He's being pressured. He's going to be sacked. He gets rid of the ball, but they're going to call him down. Matt Miller.
We talked about it in the pregame show. Matt Miller was very aggressive against Cherokee, and he's coming out this game and being just as aggressive.
All right, deep for East Brunswick is Maloney and Harmon. Those were the 2 defensive backs.
Just about a 15-yard loss. So Brick will punt.
Can't get the number on that kicker.
Here's the punt. It's a low punt. It's going to drive Maloney back, and it reverses it. That's Harmon trying to get to the outside, pick up a block. Harmon will get up close to the 50, just short, and that's where the Bears will start on offense.
And I just saw a flag thrown.
We may have a late hit. All right, we'll see what the flag is. That's personal foul against Brick.
It's probably a late hit over there. So East Brunswick's going to get the ball on the Brick 30, well, about the 37-yard line.
Good field position.
All right, we're going to call it the 42.
All right, so the Bears will have it in Brick territory.
This is not passing territory, although it could be, but Borden was suggesting that Brick is going to do a lot of blitzing. Say that 3 times fast.
All right, East Brunswick has 2 men out wide. Split backfield. Forte, little option. He's going to keep it. He'll pick up about 2 yards. Somewhat of an unusual call to start the game.
It certainly is.
I think we're going to find a lot more running on the part of Forte this year. What do you think, Phil?
I don't see why. With all the talent that they have, I don't know why you want to run Forte. He's such a valuable part of the offense. You really don't want to run the risk of him getting injured. So let's give it to the people who are supposed to run it.
All right, give Forte about 2 yards. The ball is on the Brick 43, 2nd and 8. This is DeVito, and DeVito stopped right at the line. Bring up a 3rd down for the Bears.
You mentioned, Phil, up top that defense is Brick's strength this year.
Defense has always been Brick's strength. They pride themselves in defense, and this year seems to be no different.
And we have a timeout, official timeout.
Now, I noticed that Forte is set up in a shotgun. Last week against Cherokee, we mentioned it in the pregame show that snap from the center was a major problem for East Brunswick, so we're going to pay close attention. All right, now Brian goes up. No, he's back into it.
Okay, Holcomb split wide with Trent. Giroux is in the slot, Harmon in motion. Shotgun formation, Forte drops back. He's got plenty of time. The ball looked like it slipped right out of his hand. Incomplete pass, and Forte was hit hard as he let go of the ball. He's stunned down there.
He's really stunned, I tell you.
And we're going to have a timeout.
He took a hit.
He got hit right in the face, right in the face mask.
And, he's as I was just saying, he's such a valuable part of this East Brunswick team that you really don't want to put him in a position where he's going to have to take the shots. We mentioned in the pregame show that all of last year, he didn't receive one solid hit at all. And then yet in Cherokee, he was sacked 6 times, and he comes out here, he runs the first play, he's getting tackled, and then on the third play of the game, offensive play, he takes a very hard shot.
All right, Phil Hostler's out there, the trainer, looking over Brian Forte.
I give Brick tremendous credit on that first drive. East Brunswick had nice field position, yet they were denied. Brian's still down on the field.
It looks as though the ball just slipped out of his hand, and as he was looking down, a Brick defender unintentionally hit him right in the face. Fortunately, the face mask is there, but the tendency in a situation like that is for that face mask to come up and push up into the face as the helmet jars backward. Brian's on his knees now.
Probably a little groggy.
You have Jack Bear Roberts coming out there for Brick, and he's been a trainer at Brick for 30 years. He's been there with Warren Wolf for 30 years. It's nice to see him come out to give Phil a hand in checking out Brian. He's volunteered his services for 30 years.
That says something about his dedication.
For real.
And Brian's coming off.
Right, and he will not be doing the punting, obviously, so we're going to watch Josh Miller, who is also a quality punter for the Bears. So we're going to keep an eye on Brian on the sidelines and see if, when East Brunswick gets the ball again, whether or not he's able to come back in.
All right, so Josh Miller going punt formation. That's Rob Collins, number 41, back for Brick. Back around his own 10-yard line. Here's Miller's punt. It's a beauty. Collins calls a fair catch, but the ball will roll into the end zone, and Brick will take over on their own 20.
East Brunswick didn't lose much with Miller in there.
No, not at all. Beautiful punt. Nice spiral.
Phil Hostler still checking Forte. He seems to be somewhat groggy yet.
Okay, Durkin brings him up. He's got 2 men split wide. Keeps the ball rolling left, and he'll get back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it, and bring up a 2nd and 10.
I think we also need to give East Brunswick's defense credit there last week against Cherokee, being able to deny them and late going. And I think we're going to see some things out of this defense before this year is out, for sure.
Well, with Sean Smith back in there, they seem to have a little bit more confidence. Dave Clark on that last tackle. I think they're going to gel.
All right, they give Durkin 1, so it's 2nd and 9. The ball on the Brick 21. Durkin looks like calling an audible. He drops the ball. East Brunswick should have it. Let's see. It's East Brunswick's ball.
I believe that was Shannon Holcomb on the recovery, 88. Saw that ball by itself. He just pounced on it.
Well, Durkin just pulled away from the center too quick, and ball was plopped right on the ground. And
okay, Maloney is in at quarterback.
The Bears will have it on the Brick 20, 1st and 10.
So Maloney, also a junior.
All right,
getting
Kevin
his
Maloney.
first opportunity, John.
See what he can do. He's got Trent and Giroux wide left. This is a pitch to Harmon, right side. Harmon will pick up about 3 yards. Looked like DeVito went the wrong way, and so Harmon did not have that lead blocker.
Well, Kevin Maloney hasn't had too much varsity experience, but he did. He was the quarterback of the freshman team a couple years ago, and they went undefeated. So he knows how to handle teams. So this is his big opportunity.
All right, let's call it 2nd and 8. Ball on the Brick 18. Trent goes wide left. Giroux is in the slot. Split backfield. Maloney's going to throw. He rolls left, looking for someone. Puts it up in the air for Giroux. Incomplete.
Nice defensive play there.
Nice defensive
Sure
play,
was.
nice pass, and very close to interference.
It was close, but that was Paul Farley, who was also a top receiver for Brick on that. And Giroux just took a shot right in the back.
All right, it'll be 3rd and 8. And Forte comes back in. Maloney goes back out. And we'll see if Brian will put the ball up or hand it off. He has Trent and Giroux wide left. He's going to pass. Drops, being pressured now. Throws it up in the end zone. No one is there, looking for Harmon. Trent was knocked down.
I just saw a flag, John. It was thrown in the area near DeVito.
On the opposite side of the field.
Could have been some late hit action. And if that's the case, that's going to give Miller a much longer try.
I did see a lineman downfield for East Brunswick. He was down by the 10-yard line.
It appears to be against East Brunswick.
I think you're right, John.
I think it was supposed to be a screen
sure.
left, and
well, with Brian scrambling, the
That's
lineman didn't figure that he had a chance for a pass.
yep, a lineman was downfield. So it'll bring up 4th down now for the Bears. 4th and about 13, let's say.
Interesting. Miller's not in there for a field goal.
And the Bears are going to go for it. Forte in the shotgun, or what they call their run and shoot offense. Long count. Brian under a little pressure.
Interference.
Looking for Holcomb.
Oh, they didn't call it.
And no flag thrown. And Forte was knocked down again. He's holding his right wrist, I believe.
Well, we knew that Brick, having gone down to see the Cherokee game, would blitz.
Jimmy, you surprised they didn't call on Josh?
Am I surprised? Well, I was expecting the field goal, Phil.
I mean, he certainly has the range. And you got to start using him sooner or later.
All right, Brick will take over. The ball on their own 23. 1st and 10. Durking now sends 2 men wide right. Looking to throw, being pressured. Setting up down deep in the middle. He's got a man. Oh, just overthrows him. That was number 87, Farley. Durkin showed nice touch on that ball.
Very nice touch. I tell you, Warren Wolf has great versatility. They do basically the Delaware wing T, but they will do an awful lot of things off that as well. The I formation, multiple sets, and he makes it exciting and fun for the kids to play.
All right, 2nd and 10. If you just joined us, we're in the 1st quarter, 5:52 to go, no score, East Brunswick and Brick. Durkin keeping, and he's going to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Tell you what, folks, this is a hard-hitting game out there.
This Holcomb's been impressive early in the game.
Right. Coach Borden was counting on Shannon before the season even began. Literally just landed a job for himself. He really wasn't that major of a player last year.
All right, Brick will have 3rd and 10. Again, the ball's on their own 23. Durkin rolling left. Looking for a man downfield. He's throwing it up for Christopher, and it's knocked down. Fine defensive play by Brunig and Maloney.
Yeah, that play was covered well, Phil.
From the front and the back. Bill Brunig showing a real nice defensive touch there. I'll tell you, Brick is coming out doing some of the things that we expected East Brunswick to do as far as being wide open, and East Brunswick seemingly has been a little conservative.
All right, Harmon and Maloney back deep, awaiting the punt. Again, a fine punt, driving Maloney back to his 30-yard line. looking for some help, and he crosses the 40 to about the 42. So the Bears will take over, again with good field position.
And the crowd now has finally arrived. Looks like we have a good one tonight for this opening home game. Forte back in at quarterback.
All right, the Bears come out, 1st and 10 on their own 42. 4:38 to go, first period.
At the bottom of the screen, watch for number 3, Ramon Trent. He's going to be a big receiver for the Bears.
Forte, this is Harmon, left side. Harmon looking for a block, turn the corner, he does. Nice running, crosses the 50-yard line. He'll be short of the first down, though.
It might be worth a measurement, John. It was pretty close.
He picked up about 8 yards all on his own ability, basically, using great speed and just nice movement.
And we'll have an official's timeout as they bring the chains across.
Tell you, the big thing about Mark Harmon this year is that he's so much stronger. If you watched the Cherokee game, not that many carries, but he looked just so much stronger when he did carry the ball.
He really does impress me with his strength and his speed, and those are the two assets that you look for, especially if you're aspiring to be a college player.
They're just short. So East Brunswick will have a second, and let's call it about a yard.
Phil, I wonder if, should East Brunswick come right out and pass, or do they need to establish their running game as they're trying to right now?
Well, I think that's a good idea. They have the horses to run and, set it up, then go to the passing. They started out early passing and haven't had that much luck.
All right, the Bears now in brick territory on the brick 48, 2nd and about 1. Forte, he's going to throw for it. Being pressured from his right side, rolls, and is going to be dropped for a loss.
You know, I hate to belabor a point, but it's almost shocking to see Brian get sacked as much as he is getting sacked. Talk to Harry Morris about the line play. He says he wasn't so much concerned about the physicalness of it, but the mental mistakes the linemen seem to be making, and that's what's been hurting them.
Right. Of course, you can't blame the linemen too much if they're, Brian's rolling out of the pocket there.
All right, 3rd and 7. East Brunswick's back on their own 46 after the sack. He'll go to the air again. Looking for DeVito, and he threw behind him. So it'll bring up a 4th down. Are you surprised thus far?
I think we're all sitting here a little stunned because they're just not clicking, and we expected them to come out and to click, 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 and they may heat it up and get it going. But I tell you, I'm surprised that after the Cherokee game, the way they came back, that they're not hitting on all cylinders.
Okay, Forte in the punt. Collins back deep for the Dragons.
Nice snap.
Very high punt. Collins is going to call a fair catch, let it go. And the ball's going to be down around the 22-yard line. So Brick again starts deep in their own territory.
Now we have a quick opportunity. The number 1 ranked in the state East Brunswick girls soccer team has gotten off to an excellent start, winning their first 3 games.
Wow.
Most recent was a 4-0 win over Saraville, and a lot of nice players on that team, including Lisa Gagno, who scored 37 goals last year, gentlemen, and already has 7 in the first 3 games. The boys even their record with a 3-2 win today. We don't know who the team was, but I heard somebody talking about it before the game.
All right, Brick now on their own 23. They'll have it 1st and 10. 3 minutes to go, first period action. No score. Durkin still has it. Looking over the middle, he's got Farley. Pickup of about 8 yards.
I have a very uncomfortable feeling about the Brick offense, Phil. It seems like, as Cherokee did, they were able to break open that one long gainer, and it seems like with Durkin at quarterback and with Farley at 87, they could probably strike at any time on a long one.
Things. I tell you, I'm again impressed with their versatility. They just do so many different things.
2nd and 2. Christopher. And he's going to be short of the first down, I believe. We'll see where they mark it, where his knee touched. Oh, and they give it to him. First down, Brick.
Dave Christopher, good hard runner. He's their money man. He's the man that they're going to depend on for that hard yardage. And you saw him pick up a good first down there.
All right, the ball spotted on the Brick 33, 1st and 10. Durkin's gonna put it up. He's looking for his man across. Nice catch. Number 87, that's Farley. Maloney on the hit.
Nice catch, nice tackle as well. Ryan Maloney right there. Probably if he could have kept his head up, he might have had an interception, but he put his head down and made the hit. Everything was happening very quickly.
Down to 1:25. Let's call it 2nd and about 3. Ball on the Brick 42. That's Crank, Dave Crank. He'll be close to the first down. And he's got it. First down, Brick.
So Brick moving through the air and on the ground.
Well, we pointed out at the top of the game that Brick won their last 5 games, and they haven't given up a point in the last 14 quarters. So they found some momentum last year, and looks like they're carrying it over. They look pretty good.
Durkin looking over the defense. He's going to look inside. He's got his man, Stefanski. Pickup of about 7. Let's make it 8. Down to 40 seconds, first period.
Tell you what, that line is giving Durkin a little bit, they're giving him some time.
They're giving him time, but then again, he's handing off dives into the line. He does a little pitch to the outside, throwing the short passes, throwing the long passes. He's mixing it up, and it's just fun football.
2nd and about 2 for the Green Dragons. No score here. That's Christopher. He's got the first down. And the clock will stop with 13 seconds here in the first period. Brick's on the move.
One thing you'll notice is that the linebackers and the defensive backs seem to be making an awful lot of tackles, and that's not a very good sign. That means some things aren't happening up front.
And that'll be it for the first quarter here at East Brunswick. It's East Brunswick nothing, Brick nothing. A game that's a little surprising.
It is surprising in that Brick Township is the team that seems to be the most inspired. They are certainly the more aggressive team, and their blocking is a lot more crisp up front. Brian Forte was nailed there early in the, I guess it was the first series, and he is 0 for 4 in the passing department at this point. Maloney had 1 pass, so Bears have no first downs. They have failed to connect through the air, and I only have, well, let's see. Harmon only has 12, well, he has 12 yards on 2 carries, and Forte has a net of -2 on 2 carries, 1 being a sack.
I'll tell you, this is a quiet East Brunswick crowd. I mean, it's like a night at the opera.
Well, they have a good crowd on hand.
A real nice crowd.
All right, Brick comes out. 1st and 10 on the East Brunswick 41. They've been moving the ball. Durkin again will go to the air. He's got plenty of time. Looking, now he's forced out of the pocket. He's got to pull it down and run. And he'll pick up maybe a yard or 2.
And that was close to a late hit. I'll tell you what, there was about 3 people carrying Durkin out after he was out of bounds.
But Durkin's a good-looking quarterback. He's been the starting quarterback for Brick since his freshman year, and he's very confident. And he did a little play action there, pumped several times, couldn't find anybody open, so he ran the ball himself. He looks good.
Let's call it 2nd and 5. He picked up 5 yards. Ball now on East Brunswick 35. We've just started 2nd quarter here. No score, East Brunswick and Brick. Inside handoff. That's Christopher. Christopher will pick up about 2.
And we have a rather important third down situation here with 4 yards to go for Brick.
Matt Miller again in on the tackle. Linebacker once again.
Phil, I guess we should watch for 87 Farley on this as the primary
Well,
primary receiver.
Another question, does Brick have a field goal kicker?
Not aware.
And we're going to find out, maybe.
They may not need one.
3rd and 3 for the Green Dragons. Ball on East Brunswick 33. Their deepest penetration thus far in the game. And East Brunswick man jumped off. I didn't see who it was, but flags are down. And that will be an automatic first down for Brick.
Certainly will.
I'll tell you, that it's almost indicative of what seems to be happening. Timing is what comes to mind. They just seem to be out of sync offensively and defensively. And perhaps just a spark, perhaps a turnover or something like that may light a fire on them and put them back in sync. They just seem to be out of sync.
All right, the ball's down to the East Brunswick 28, 1st and 10. And this is where a Brick team could be dangerous because they come at you in all different formations. They have 2 men wide left. Durkin hands off to Crank. Crank stopped right about at the line of scrimmage. Maybe pick up a yard. Bring up a 2nd down. Let's call it 2nd and 8. Ball on East Brunswick 26. 10:24 to go before half. No score, but the Brick Dragons are threatening. That's Bohack in motion. Durkin dropping. Looking over the middle. Oh, almost intercepted by Miller.
That was in his hands.
He was looking for number 30, Bohack, Greg Bohack, the man who was in motion.
All right, credit Sink Ugar, number 42.
Sink. I believe I called him Seth in the pregame show. You're right, Sink Ugar.
But he put the pressure on Durkin that time.
And Matt Miller in the right place at the right time, just did not hold on to the ball.
3rd and 8 once again. That's Crank in motion. Durkin looking. And the ball falls incomplete. He was under tremendous pressure.
Shades of the Chicago Bears on that one, Phil. They had everybody coming.
He was racked. That was
Chetta, number 61.
I would expect Brick to probably go for this.
4th down. They're waiting to.
Well, we're going to find out if they got a field goal kicker or not.
Let's see what Warren Wolf wants to do. He's going to go for it on 4th and 8. Ball on East Brunswick 26. Crank again goes in motion. Durkin throws it out to him, a little swing pass, and he's hit right at the line, but a flag's been dropped.
Let's
Nice
watch this.
defensive play.
This is an important call right here. Let's see what this is all about.
That was Holcomb on the stop.
Okay, apparently it was against Brick Township.
Holding against Brick. See if East Brunswick will probably decline it. And the offense will come back out. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears on their own 26.
All right, we'll see what we can do now.
Well, they're a good defensive series there. The game just seems to be polite, though. That's like
polite.
It seems to be polite. I mean, everybody's doing something, but
somebody's gonna have to get a little nasty out there.
we need somebody to be a little wild, somebody do something a little different.
All right, let's see if Forte comes out and passes on 1st down.
1st down, Brian trying to direct his offense. That's number 3, Trent. He's going to roll to his right. Again, being pressured. He's going to be dropped. Let's see where they mark it.
And Brick is finding some holes in that East Brunswick line and is just penetrating. Forte is not getting enough time to throw.
Well, that's very apparent, Jim. He is rolling out, but it seems to me Brian needs to let that ball go a lot sooner than
Right.
is, even if he's going to throw it away. I mean,
which probably leads me to believe that Brick is getting some good coverage on the pass receivers.
Well, I think Phil makes a point. Their pass patterns are just too long. They need something short just to get the momentum back.
Exactly.
It's second and about 30. The ball on the East Brunswick 9-yard line. You don't want to do anything dangerous here. That's Brunig trying to find some room, but he finds nothing but white shirts. And he's back to the line. It'll be 3rd and 30.
And Brunig comes limping off the field. So East Brunswick should be a little concerned if he's not able to come back into the defensive lineup.
Do you put it up at this end of the field?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Everybody's going to look for Trent on the fly.
We don't have a shotgun here.
Down to 8 minutes before half. Here's Harmon on the sweep. He's got a hole. Mark Harmon is going to pick up a lot of those yards back.
And that was a very valuable run. At least East Brunswick now has some good room to kick.
Harmon goes about 25 yards.
That's a good point, Jimmy. They did get some breathing room.
The ball is spotted at the East Brunswick 27, and Forte will punt.
Here they come.
He's going to fake it. Forte's out here to DeVito all by himself. First down, Joey DeVito. He's going to go. He's got one man. Joey DeVito's gone on a fake punt. Forte to DeVito.
So that play covers 71 yards. A fake punt. Of course, with Brian Forte back there, you always have to watch for that. And he just nailed DeVito right over the middle. No one was covering him. And give credit to DeVito there to elude that tackle at midfield and then outrun the other Brick defender.
It's just a beautiful play. They got the crowd back in the game, and that's exactly what they needed. And as you pointed out, Jimmy, anytime you have your quarterback, that's the punter also, that's always a risk. I'm surprised Warren Wolf didn't have his players guarding a lot tighter.
Josh Miller looking to add point number 7. 7:04 to go. Kick is up, and it's no good.
Okay, the snap.
Wide to the left.
Again, the snap was bobbled, and we talked about it in the pregame show there that whole mechanism for the kicking game, the center snap and the holding of the ball has got to be done perfectly, and it's something that has to be worked on. You have a weapon like Josh Miller, and it's something that should be automatic.
I'm sure that the Bears practice that point after, but when it comes to execution during the game, that's the big deal.
That fake punt going some 73 yards. Forte to DeVito puts the Bears on top, 6-0. The extra point missed.
Well, at least East Brunswick is on the board now.
You got to like the touch that Forte had on that pass to DeVito.
I guess it just remained for Joe to gather the ball in.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see if that sets off a spark here for East Brunswick. Miller will kick it off. 7:04 to go before half. Nice high kick. This will be Collins at about the 3-yard line. Collins up the middle.
That was an excellent kick.
Yep.
It was high, it was deep. Really, that Collins had no room to run except up the middle. And
Good coverage by the Jesse James game.
Look where the ball is, on the 22-yard line. So I see Brunig back in there, so apparently he's okay. And let's look for the East Brunswick defense now to really rise to the occasion. See if that touchdown doesn't spark them.
All right, Durkin inside. This is Carpenter. And Carpenter bowls his way for about 4 yards.
He really dragged a lot of tacklers with him. I'm
sorry, it's Christopher. I called him Carpenter. He looked like a carpenter the way he was going through there.
Carving his way?
Carving his way.
Okay.
Let's call it second and about 3.5. Ball on the brick 29. Inside, this is Crank. Crank is hit head on right at the 30-yard line.
He does get smacked.
That was number 52, Anthony Giovanni.
DiGiovanni. We'll shorten it up, John.
DiGiovanni, probably the quickest lineman that they have there.
He's only 5'6", 175 pounds, but I'll tell you what, he hits hard.
He's tough, too.
Third down now for Brick, third and about 2. Ball's just over their own 30-yard line. And we've got an old wing T formation, Durkin.
And East Brunswick stops him. Excellent play by the defense.
Shades of the Four Horsemen there.
Sure was. That was a single wing. And I suspect that Brick is going to put itself in a punting situation here.
That'll be 4th down. They're short.
Shannon Holcomb leading the charge again. Where did this kid come from, Jimmy?
Well, I understand that he was he was ineligible last year. Or was it 2 years ago? It could have been last year, but anyway, he did the job.
He did.
Here's the punt by Brick. This will be Maloney. He drops it at about the 27-yard line, and he'll fall on top of it. And that's where East Brunswick will start. 4:49 to go, second period. East Brunswick on top, 6-0.
John, I know you had the pleasure of being able to cover the gymnastics team earlier this week. They scored a record 151 points against Middletown South, and I guess Middletown North was the third team playing there. So congratulations to the East Brunswick boys team.
Let me just say, Jimmy, and they weren't hitting their routines either, and they scored that much. They're awesome.
That's exciting.
All right, the Bears on their own 29. 1st and 10, Forte brings him out. He's going to throw. He's looking for Trent. He's got him. Nice looking pass. And Trent fights his way close to a 1st down.
Of course, we mentioned Roman. I'll get that pronunciation correct. Let's call him Raymond Trent.
Raymond Trent.
Yeah.
He's got it, 1st down.
He is a dangerous threat. He is the fastest player on that team.
And I do believe he's going to develop into a real good one, as I mentioned before.
Down to 4:10, second period.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the first down of the ball game for East Brunswick.
This is DeVito trying to go off tackle, pick up about a yard. 2nd down for the Bears.
And time could become a factor here, John.
We talked about the run and shoot in the pregame, and we just haven't seen any semblance of it. So maybe they trashed it. I don't know.
I wouldn't go so far to say that, Phil.
Well,
I think Marcus has times that he likes to show it, times to keep it under wraps.
Forte calling out an audible. 2nd and 8 for the Bears on their own 42, 3:25 to go. And a delay of game. And there's a little miscommunication between the sideline and Forte. And that'll move the Bears back 5 yards.
you just felt that one coming, John.
Yeah.
Official looking down at his watch. And
Well, Marcus Borden was bemoaning the fact that mistakes were very costly against Cherokee, and we're seeing a couple here.
Is that East Brunswick's first penalty? Second penalty.
That's his
It's the second, yeah.
So they'll move him back to the East Brunswick 37. It'll be 2nd and 13 now. Inside of 3 minutes before half. East Brunswick on top, 6-0. This is DeVito looking to go somewhere. And the clock continues to tick.
well,
Well, it's time to go to the well.
it's our first game. It's certainly too early to start second guessing.
That's for sure.
But
Well, let's call it 3rd and 12. The ball on the East Brunswick 38. See if they can get in field goal range at least. Forte. He'll roll to his right, being pressured. Has nowhere to go. He's looking for a man. Trying to fight off some tacklers and dumps the ball, and they'll call it incomplete. Heads up play by Brian. Somewhat dangerous, though.
Well, fortunately, Potter was there. Dave Potter, tight end, was somewhere in the vicinity, and Brian was able to get that off, so he doesn't lose the yardage.
Jimmy, it's early in the year, but you got to be concerned about the number of times Brian Forte is getting hit. I mean, even for the average quarterback, to be hit that much is this early is just
Well, again,
unbelievable.
I'd like to give credit to the defensive backfields for Brick.
All right, Forte in punt formation. Just a moment ago from the same setup, they scored a touchdown, but this time Forte will kick it away. Collins calls a fair catch. The ball will bound out of bounds. Nope, hangs in there about the 15-yard line. So Brick, deep in their own territory, will have 2 minutes and 4 seconds to go before halftime to try to get on the board.
So if Warren Wolf has anything in his bag of tricks, this is probably the time he's going to pull them out. I feel East Brunswick's defense has been coming on a little bit in the second quarter here.
A little bit. They've been scrappy. They've been scrappy, all year. The game against Cherokee, and they're scrappy here now. And it's just that I think we've been used to a little bit more in the way of consistency, and we haven't seen that.
1st and 10, 15-yard line. Brick, 2 men wide left. Durkin looking. He's going to throw deep down the field. He's looking for Farley. Nearly intercepted by Maloney, just off his fingertips.
Kevin Maloney played that very nicely.
That's right. I think everybody knows that Kevin had a bad game against Cherokee last week and really wanted to redeem himself, and that was excellent coverage there.
Down to a minute 40, Jim. I'm sorry.
I tell you, he must be one of the most versatile players on the team. He does a little bit of everything. Holds the ball on the kick, defense, offense, punt return.
He's an excellent player.
Something else, too, gentlemen. We've talked about Forte, and rightly so, but Durkin can throw that ball as well. A penalty has been called against Brick, a crackback, illegal crackback block, and so now the ball will be inside the 10, around the 7-yard line. So a penalty has hurt Brick there.
Phil, are you surprised they took the penalty?
No, not at all.
Here's an inside handoff to Christopher.
If I were the Bears, I'd call timeout.
Sean Smith on a good, solid tackle there.
Clock is running. Down to a minute 28, second period. Brick has not called a timeout.
There you go.
Sean Smith on that last tackle. It's something they could have used him last week, but he's rounding into condition right now and starting to look good. I mean, for all our talking, the fact is it's a minute 22 seconds to half. East Brunswick has not let Brick score, so that scrappy defense has done the job.
Okay, so if the Bears can keep Brick back in their own territory, they have an opportunity to at least get the ball back with 1 shot to go here.
It'll be 2nd and 17 when Brick comes out of the huddle. The ball, rather, on their own 7.
And if you're East Brunswick, you just don't want to be too tight here. You got plenty of room. You just don't want to be too tight.
Brick splits out 2 men wide left, and they'll be content to run it up the middle, though. Christopher, nowhere to go. Clock running down to a minute 12, and there's a timeout, East Brunswick.
Mike Hack showing a little motion there. He's in on the tackle, and he's trying to get his teammates fired up. to hold this Brick team for the last minute or so.
All right, one more big play here, and the Bears are probably going to get themselves an opportunity to at least try a field goal.
Well, they've got Brick down deep in their own territory. The ball's on the 7-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 17. And apparently Warren Wolf, rather. I knew I was going to call him Warner.
It's probably not the first time,
No.
John, anybody's done that to him.
Warren Wolf, at least up to this point, seems content to just run it up the middle. I wonder if he's trying to lull someone to sleep here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Durkin go back to Farley on this left side. He's had single coverage. Okay, they split out 2 men wide left again. And there's a inside handoff to Crank, and he's dropped at about the 6-yard line. Clock is running, and East Brunswick will call timeout again.
Well, Warren Wolf was playing it extremely safe, and you really can't blame him, I guess, with his back to the wall there like that. But it presents East Brunswick with an opportunity.
All right. We've noticed that on each punt return, whether it be Maloney or Harmon that catches the punt, that they usually try to set up for a reverse. Phil, what do you think? The East Brunswick will have everybody coming?
No, I don't see why they should. They look like they got some people that can break the long ones. Witnessed last week's game, and they're going to have good field position, and they have Josh Miller. You certainly don't want to
All right, Harmon.
get a penalty.
Harmon and Maloney go back deep. Durkin will do the punting for Brick. He'll be punting out of his end zone. Maloney and Harmon are standing at the Brick 45-yard line, so they should have good field position. It's a poor kick. Hits around the 40. Maloney fields it, cuts upfield, and brings it back close to the 35-yard line, and that's where the Bears will start with 53 seconds to go.
And that is plenty of time. John, I believe East Brunswick was called all 3 of those timeouts last time, so perhaps they have nothing left. So Brian's going to have to work the sidelines.
Forte looking to the sideline, looking for Giroux, and just wide. Incomplete pass. That'll stop the clock, bring up a 2nd and 10. The ball at the Brick 37.
You know, you got to wonder. I know that's a timing play, but Brian sort of rushed himself when he didn't have to rush himself that time. Drew wasn't into his break yet, and of course that's the way the play is supposed to go, but he had the time to take his time and put it right there. It didn't happen.
2nd and 10, 42 seconds to go. Forte has Trent and Maloney wide. He's looking for Trent. Trent's underneath it, he's got it.
Tremendous catch.
First down. Timeout is called as they move the chains.
And that was a timing catch also,
That was
wasn't
the timing play also. Forte going back, pumping, just laying it up nice and softly, and Raymond Trent making a nice catch.
1st and 10 on the 3-yard line. The Bears now have 34 seconds, plenty of time to punch it in. They lead 6-0. Forte has DeVito and Harmon in the backfield, and Forte will throw it out of bounds, and a flag is thrown. A motion against East Brunswick, so that'll move him back 5 yards. Trent, I think, took a step before the snap.
Exactly right.
That moved the Bears back to the 8-yard line.
Well, you can probably look for them to throw in the flat to Harmon or try to hit Dave Potter.
It's a big target.
On a quick slant.
Right. Watch Maloney, too.
Okay, it's 1st and goal. The ball on the 8-yard line.
You don't see Kevin on your screen. He's flanked to the left, and he's always a good receiver.
26 seconds. Harmon left side. He's got a hole. Harmon trying to turn the corner into the end zone. He does. Touchdown, Mark Harmon.
That was just speed getting around the end. And folks, that's a big touchdown right there.
A very big touchdown.
Mark Harmon goes 8 yards around left end for the score. East Brunswick now leads 12-0. All right, Josh Miller for the extra point. Snap is high again. It's a fake. Maloney has it. Maloney lays it up looking for Miller and throws it away. So the score will stay East Brunswick 12, Brick nothing with 19 seconds to go before half.
Mark Harmon, a 5'11", 170-pound junior, and he's going to have all kinds of records before he leaves East Brunswick High School.
Well, he certainly is. Of course, we said before, the two players that East Brunswick cannot afford to lose are Brian Forte and Mark Harmon, and you can see why. Harmon, just by his speed, was able to get around the side, left side there, and that was all the difference in the world. Touchdown and getting a loss.
Let me ask you, Jimmy, are there concerns about getting Josh Miller into the game unfounded? I mean,
No, I agree with you, Phil. I think at this point, Josh, as much as he practices and he's very, very dedicated player, when it comes to the game, something is not there.
well, the situations have caused. This is only the second game, but my point is you want to get him into the flow of it early in the season.
Correct.
I mean, he's such a such a great weapon for you that extra points are even confidence builders.
Right.
All right, Josh Miller will kick it off to Brick. 19 seconds to go before half. East Brunswick's on top, 12-0. And Josh Miller's going to put this one in the end zone. So a beautiful kick.
Well, that'll build a little confidence right there.
The thing about it, and I'm not trying to create any controversy, the thing about it is Josh Miller is, first of all, he's a team player, and it's certainly not going to bother him. It's just from my perspective if with the potential he has, you need to build that confidence up early with extra points and what have you. That's just my belief.
All right, we'll see if the Brick Dragons are going to go for all of it. 19 seconds. The ball is on their own 20. They trail 12-0. And Durkin's going to put it up in the air. He's looking. And he decides to run. And he'll pick up about 8 yards. 9 seconds, and timeout is called by Brick.
Sean Smith in on the tackle, and Durkin hit Matt Miller instead of Matt Miller hitting him that time.
So it'll be 2nd and 1 when the Dragons come out from their timeout. 9 seconds to go before half. I'll say this, though. 12 points is not a comfortable lead against this Brick team.
Not at all. Not from what we've seen of Todd Durkin and his ability to throw.
And, of course, that was Marcus Borden's feelings when he went for the 2 points.
Correct.
And in high school football, 9 seconds can be a long time. We've seen that
Oh,
on a few occasions.
John and I are looking at each other, probably thinking about 1984, was it?
George Booth.
George Booth, J.P. Stevens,
That's right.
scored just before halftime.
Some things will always stay in your mind.
Okay, Durkin will bring him out. 2nd and about 1. This is Crank. He fumbles the ball. It's East Brunswick's ball. That's Smith.
Right, and now with 5, okay, I don't think they're going to have enough time to get the field goal off, unfortunately.
Sure, a change of possession will stop the clock.
Exactly.
But okay, let's see what happens. Well, Brian Forte's in there.
Okay, Forte from his 28-yard line, and that's the end of the quarter. And we're up upon halftime here. East Brunswick on top, 12-0 against Brick. And as you see the teams leave, kind of an unusual game, guys, in that the first quarter, it was very lethargic, kind of slow-paced. Brick seemed to dominate, even though they didn't put any points on the board. But they had good defensive pressure on Forte, and East Brunswick just couldn't get on track.
John, I feel East Brunswick is very fortunate to be leaving the field with a 12-0 lead at halftime. Really, I haven't gone through the stats, but I would say that Brick probably has an edge in most of them. Forte really hasn't had a lot of time to throw. I know he's only completed 3 passes. And as I feel like you guys, it's a very uncomfortable 12-0 lead at this point.
Phil, your thoughts?
Well, they are leading 12-0, and they've shown flashes of the old East Brunswick, but we talked about timing. We talked about being in sync, and they just didn't seem to be in sync. And I think we all expected them to come out and really explode. But Brick is a lot tougher than I think anybody anticipated.
Yeah.
My concerns are concerns no one else has. I'm concerned about Brian Forte being hit as much as he has been hit. I'm concerned about them not getting the use of the field goal kicker into the game when there seems to be plenty of opportunities to. Yeah. And but they are up 12-0.
Okay, it's a rather tenuous 12-0 lead, particularly against a good Brick team. And one thing for sure, and we've been around football, particularly high school football, long enough to know that you're not going to outcoach Warren Wolf. And so he's going to make some adjustments, I'm sure, at halftime. And obviously Marcus Borden is going to do the same. So it could be an interesting second half. So we'll be back with the second half action in just a minute here, 12-0 at halftime.
Ladies and gentlemen, the East Brunswick High School marching band.
All right, you see the Bears coming out for the second half. They lead 12-0. Brick is following them through the gate, and they should be coming onto the field shortly. While we have a minute, Jim, I know you have some stats from the first half.
Right, and again, our thanks to Bill Munyon, the sports information coordinator for East Brunswick. Okay, for the Bears, first downs, they had 4, while Brick was able to nail 5. And Brick also had the advantage in the rushing department, 47 yards to 21. However, thanks to that long 71-yarder to Joe DeVito off the fake punt, East Brunswick had 114 yards through the air, with Brian Forte completing 3 for 12. So percentage-wise, he's not doing well, but he does have some decent yardage. And let's see, Brick attempted 9 passes, and they also completed 3. And as far as penalties are concerned, East Brunswick has 20 yards in penalties, while Brick has 30 yards. And for punting, Brian Forte punted 3 times for a 40.3 average. That's not too bad. We mentioned that Brian passed the ball 10 times, 3 completions. And let's see, as far as rushing is concerned, Forte had a net minus 23 thanks to those sacks. DeVito ran the ball 4 times for 6 yards, and Mark Harmon had 4 carries for 38 yards, including that 1 touchdown run. And as for pass receiving, DeVito caught 1, of course, for 71 yards, and that was that touchdown. And Ramon Trent had 2 pass catches for 43 yards, and that long one of 33 yards that brought the Bears down to about inside the 5-yard line and set up that last crucial touchdown. So that's the stats at this point, John.
Okay, we'll see what kind of demeanor this game takes on in the second half. I would think there's a little bit of concern on the coaching staff side of Marcus Borden. Really, I think East Brunswick came out thinking this was going to be a fairly easy game, and even though it is 12-0, as we've said, you never outman this Brick team. Well-coached, well-disciplined team, and a break here or there, and this could have been a different ball game.
I definitely feel, I know Brick definitely feels it's still in the ball game. All you need is one or 2 big plays, and you're back in it. And we've already seen that the Green Dragons do have the capability of hitting long passes, or at least passing through the air. But East Brunswick, I believe, is going to get the ball first, Phil.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
So right away we'll see if Brian Forte has the opportunity, can lead his team down the field.
Well, I'm interested to see if East Brunswick's going to come out different the second half. I mean, granted, they're up 12-0, but I think just from the feel that I have and from that the crowd seems to have, it's an uncomfortable 12. It's certainly not a pretty 12-point lead at this point in time.
Phil, what do you think East Brunswick ought to do differently in its offense this time?
I think what they got, it seems to me that the Green Dragons have been putting an awful lot of pressure on Brian. I mean, rushing him. I think they got to go to the shorter passes. I think they got to do some draws, maybe some screens and whatnot to get some of that pressure off Brian, and certainly to keep him from hitting him as much as he's being hit.
That's true. He had mentioned that Mark Harmon could conceivably be a valuable pass receiver, and I don't think they've gone to him once this year. Well, at least this game anyway.
The Bears are set up to receive. They'll take the kickoff to start this second half.
Harmon, of course, very dangerous in this situation. Last week against Cherokee, ran the opening kickoff all the way back for a touchdown.
Harmon is deep along with Maloney and DeVito. All right. And we're about ready to go. Second half, Bears on top, 12-0. We start the third period. That's Harmon. Right up the middle. Up across the 30 to about the 33-yard line, and that's where the Bears will start off, 1st and 10.
Phil, I notice Ramon Trent is wearing, I think he's wearing 1 glove. How do you feel about pass receivers wearing gloves?
Well, it seems to be the in thing now. Now, the pros do it, but some of the great receivers that I know like to feel that ball in their hands.
Okay, Trent and Giroux are out wide left. Hand off to DeVito. And DeVito gets back to the line of scrimmage.
And a flag is thrown. I think we're going to have a face mask here. Nope, I'm sorry, it was the beanbag they threw down to mark his progress. So we'll call it 2nd and 10. Again, Giroux and Trent wide left. Split backfield of Brunig and Harmon. Forte looking to the outside for Giroux, and he dropped it. His feet just slipped as he was coming back for the ball. So it'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Giroux and Trent cross paths on that pattern, and Brian tried to reach Giroux and just came up short.
3rd and 10, the Bears from their own 33.
Here's the shotgun.
Start of the 3rd period. They're on top, 12-0. Forte calling the signals from the shotgun formation.
Good snap, John.
He's being pressured. And he's going to be dropped right there at about the 15-yard line.
Now we have a flag down.
That was Mike Caravello for Brick, who came in untouched.
Untouched, completely untouched.
Okay.
Holding against East Brunswick will be declined, I'm sure, by Brick.
You know, Brian's gotten a lot stronger over the summer and whatnot, but he doesn't seem to be quite as mobile as he was as a sophomore. Elusive.
4th and about 30. Forte will punt. Collins is back for the Green Dragons. Beautiful punt by Forte, driving Collins back. He drops the ball, and he covers it at his own 40.
I'll tell you what, East Brunswick was in a rather precarious position back there, but Forte was able to get off a really about a 50-yard punt, and now, well, Brick has itself nice field position, but it's still in their own territory. That's a big difference.
You got to be impressed with Brian's punting. Last week against Cherokee, he just had a super punting game and seems to be picking up right here.
All right, 1st and 10, Brick. Their first possession here of the 3rd quarter. Their own 41, Durkin looking deep over the middle. He's got his tight end out there. That was Stefanski.
Stefanski had his man beat, but Durkin simply overthrew him. Very dangerous play.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Durkin had just thrown that with a little softer touch, Stefanski would have taken that all the way. So it's one of those misconnections.
But it kind of tells you where Brick is coming from in terms of their offense.
All right, East Brunswick, take note.
2nd and 10. Brick has yet to get deep in East Brunswick territory. Here's an inside handoff to Christopher. Christopher pick up about 2 yards. Ball spotted at the 43.
Guess we should look for Farley on this.
Durkin's definitely going to the air again.
Okay, Brick with 2 splits wide to the right.
Okay, Durkin. He's going to roll right. Looking, being pressured. He's going to be dropped for a loss.
Good coverage by the Bears in the defensive backfield.
Exactly. Miller making the first hit.
So it'll bring up a 4th down for the Bears in a punting situation. Harmon and Maloney back deep. Another fine punt. Maloney going back, fields it at his 20. Reverses it to Harmon. Harmon looking for the wall, and a flag is thrown. We may have an illegal block there.
Well, we had a classic clip is what it was, John.
Exactly.
High school players being what they are, they just can't seem to keep their hands. When they see that body there, they just want to throw the block. And unfortunately, that's going to bring the Bears back to about their own 10-yard line. And they'll be working out of a hole.
Second possession for the Bears coming up. But this is surely going to hurt them. And a penalty is going to move them back to about the 12-yard line. And that's where they'll start off, their own 12. 1st and 10.
Play conservative, Phil?
Let's see some running.
Okay.
Let's see some Harmon.
Well, he's been a major offensive weapon so far in terms of running.
8:38, Trent's out wide. And he's going to look for him. Forte to Trent. Nice pass. Trent's got it. Fights his way for a first down.
What a pair of nice hands there.
Quick turn in. Look good.
What a pair of nice hands.
There is a flag down. And it's holding against East Brunswick.
That's going to bring that back.
I'll tell you, that's unfortunate, but as we were pointing out in the pregame, this kid has really developed quickly, Trent. That is not an easy catch.
Right.
So they'll mark it from the original line of scrimmage, which was at the 12. And they're going to settle at about the 6-yard line, half the distance. So East Brunswick will have a first down, but now they're looking at 1st and 15.
Talk about your big penalties, Phil. That was it.
That hurt you.
2 penalties already. Start this third period. We have 8:10 to go here in the third period. The Bears leading 12-0, but they're deep in their own territory. Here's an inside handoff to DeVito.
Nice run.
DeVito will get up to the original line of scrimmage, or close to it.
Well, the Bears ran a screen play last week, and it worked for them. I like to see a screen come into play here.
And Borden is doing what he was saying before the season. He was rotating his backs. Now Harmon comes in. Bruni goes out.
2nd and 9 for the Bears on their own 13. Giroux split wide left. Holcomb wide right. DeVito again on the carry. He'll pick up about 2 more yards. Well, he picked up more than that, my angle, but he picked up about 6 yards. So we'll call it 3rd down now, and about 3 for the Bears. The ball spotted at the 19-yard line, their own 19. Wide left, East Brunswick. DeVito once again. Nothing this time.
A little too much DeVito. They were expecting that. However, East Brunswick now at least able to punt with a little bit room instead of being backed up on their own 6-yard line as they were before.
Okay, Forte will again punt. Apparently not feeling any ill effects from that hit he took in the first period. And he bobbles the ball. Now he's in trouble. Kicks a low liner. Great job to get it away. Collins picks it up at his own 40 and is slammed out of bounds at around the 47-yard line.
That is an impressive kick. Uh-oh, we have a little extracurricular activity over on the other side.
It's maybe impressive, but there's been a lot of sloppy things that have happened,
Yes.
Jimmy, quite be honest. A lot of things have
Right.
been really sloppy, and it's early in the season, but for some reason you're not looking for that from this team.
Exactly, but you can't avoid the fact that East Brunswick could have had the ball, or rather Brick could have had the ball deep in East Brunswick territory, and as it is now, they still have it on their, their own 47-yard line. So that's a very fortunate break for East Brunswick to be able to get that kick out of there.
All right, the Green Dragons starting on their own 47. 1st and 10, 6:05 to go, third period. East Brunswick 12, Brick nothing. Stefanski's out wide right. We'll see if Durkin goes up in the air. He does. Sets up a little screen.
He's got room.
That's Christopher, left side. Christopher fights off one blocker. He's got the first down and much more as he's down in close to the 30-yard line.
Well, that's the screen I was looking for, except the wrong team ran it.
So Brick picks up a big first down.
And I believe this is their deepest penetration.
They're in the East Brunswick, at the East Brunswick 31. First and 10, 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go, third period action. That's Carpenter in motion. Durkin will keep it. He's got
room.
plenty of room, looking for a block on the outside. Durkin still jumping around. Finally down to the 10-yard line. As we said, you can't count them out.
You can't count them out. Todd Durkin, a 6'2", 190-pound junior, looking very good on that play. This kid has been heady. He's shown great poise and tenacity. They're coming back.
And he got about 7 or 8 yards on his own there.
Ball spotted at the East Brunswick 11, first and 10. Bricks sends 2 men wide left. Carpenter in motion. That's Christopher with the ball. He fights his way inside the 5-yard line. Dave Christopher, 6'1", 210.
Looking like John Riggins going through that line there, I'll tell you.
Picks up about 7. The ball is spotted at the 4-yard line of East Brunswick. Second and goal. No, I'm sorry, they could get a first down. Second and about 3 for the first. Durkin calling signals. He's got 2 men split wide right. That's Crank into motion. Hand off to Christopher. Christopher gets to about the 3. He may be close to the first down. Spotted just short. It'll be third and about 1.
I don't think Warren Wolf's going to change anything on this. He's ran Christopher twice, and I think he probably can look for Christopher to come with the ball again here.
Or Durkin, Phil. He runs well.
And he's been splitting 2 receivers out each time, as he has in this case.
Which spreads out the defense.
And again, they have them split wide left, 2 receivers. That's Crank in motion. Again, same play, Christopher.
He's close to the goal line.
He's got the first for sure, and he's just short of the goal. A flag has been thrown.
Let's watch this. Illegal motion.
Ooh, a big
Motion
one.
against Brick.
A very big play.
Very big penalty.
So that'll move him back. Set the ball back to around the 6-yard line.
I wouldn't be surprised if Warren Wolf came with a little play action here. You know, did a little play action, freeze them for a minute, and pop. Durkin has the ability to do it.
Brick still can get a first down without scoring. It'll be third and about 6 now for their first. They trail 12-0, but they're knocking on East Brunswick's door. 3:19 to go, third period. Big play here, 3rd and 6. Bokak in motion. Durkin still has it. Gets away from one tackle. He's got a man open in the end zone. Touchdown.
A play action touchdown.
Number 86, Carpino.
Good enough, John. East Brunswick almost had Durkin, but he was able to get out of the grabs of an East Brunswick tackler and find his receiver.
You almost had to know Warren Wolf was going to come with that.
Very important extra point here. They're going to go for 2.
Here they go. That's Durkin with the ball. And he'll be stopped short of the first down. He whips
Heaves
it.
it over.
Whoa, and he caught it. The referee ruled, though, that he was in the grasp. So 12-6, 3:05 to go, and we have a game here, gentlemen.
I gotta wonder about that extra point. All they need is 1 extra point.
Yeah, you got me wondering too. Maybe they just don't have a kicker. We know we have a kicker. But
Now-
Todd Durkin, give him credit. A nice play action pass there for the touchdown. They tried to come up for the conversion by putting the entire line on one side of the field and coming back with a trick play, which didn't work. So we're talking about 6-12.
That drive was about, I guess, 53 yards, and it was springboarded by that screen pass that brought the ball down to about the 30-yard line.
All right, the Bears set to receive now. Their lead has been cut to 6. Harmon, Maloney, and DeVito are back deep. And a big kick. Harmon will field it at his 2. He'll go to left side. He's got a wall set up. But Brick is able to penetrate, and Harmon brings the ball up to about the 17-yard line.
So East Brunswick finds itself in a position of the momentum slowly changing in favor of Brick now. This is the drive to do something.
.247, clock running, third period action. Forte, and there's a timeout, official's timeout. Harmon's having a little trouble with his equipment. And we'll start it up again. Trent is wide right. Giroux in the slot. Forte will look to throw. He's got time this time. He's throwing for Trent. Trent's got him down the middle. He's got it. Ramon Trent's going all the way.
Mercy, mercy, mercy.
And we get our first mercy of the year. Very well done.
83 yards. Forte to Trent.
East Brunswick again with the big play. Well, we knew that Ramon Trent.
Ramon Trent, I tell you.
You know, that's really a carbon copy of last week. We keep alluding to the Cherokee game because that's the only one we can go by, but Trent was in a similar situation last week where he had outrun his defender, but he dropped the ball last time. This time he kept he had his hands on it and went all the way.
That's right. No, yeah, he came up with it.
All right.
He's going to be a good one.
He has soft hands, Phil.
He's going to be a good one. Nice moves, soft hands, good speed, and he learns quick. Jerry Youngchuck, you've done a good job.
83 yards, Brian Forte to Ramon Trent. And East Brunswick takes the lead now 18-6. That's how you answer a score.
Exactly. That was just going through my mind right now. I said, you know, this momentum is going to Brick. You're going to have to do something. That was the right call.
And East Brunswick comes back with a play action of their own. And
gosh, gentlemen, consider that both of those guys are juniors out there. How many times more are you going to see that?
We hope a lot. All right, East Brunswick now. I don't know if they call a timeout or what.
They did call a timeout,
East Brunswick
John.
called a timeout. Okay. I can't believe they're calling a timeout for an extra point, because they could become quite valuable as this game gets down to the end. But we have 2:18 to go, and they're going to go for 2. Forte fakes to Harmon. He's looking in the corner for Giroux. He's got the ball, but he's out of bounds.
It's a flag down,
and
too.
a flag is down. We'll see if East Brunswick gets a second shot at it.
All right, they were talking to Brick, so apparently it was against East Brunswick.
And it's motion against East Brunswick. So a timeout, they get nothing.
And no comments from me.
You know, I was just thinking, we've had 4 touchdowns and no successful extra points tonight.
Well,
I don't know if that's a record, but you sure have to wonder. All right, the Bears on top, 18-6.
I said something to work on this week in practice. Well, that's a little more breathing room.
and that may be the play that really wakes them up for the season. Really, I think the fans here have been waiting for something to get fluent, and that play there seemed to bring everybody to life.
All right, Josh Miller will kick it off. Another fine kick by Miller. This will be Lukowitz at his 5-yard line.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a clip. Can't believe they missed it.
Lukowitz is still on his feet.
Joey
Across the
DeVito.
25.
He got rammed from the back, and the officials did not see that.
He got caught in the wedge there. He got hit from every which way.
Well, the East Brunswick coaching staff is a little disturbed by that.
We have a timeout on the field. Phil Hostler's out to check on Joey DeVito.
Joey DeVito got hit by at least 3 men trying to break through that wedge there.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Brick on their own 27. 1:58 to go here in the 3rd period. They trail 18-6. Durkin looking to throw again. He's going back to the middle. There's Stefanski.
Just a little too hard.
That's the 3rd time he's missed Stefanski.
That's right, deep over the middle, this time off his fingertips.
Bring up 2nd and 10.
I can tell you there's a bounty of scouts here tonight from other teams in the area, and they are watching this very closely. If East Brunswick at this point does have a weak link, it is in the defensive backfield. It seems that too many times they're getting caught with that receiver in back of them.
Well, they just seem to be playing too tight, Jimmy.
That's quite correct, Phil.
Here's Durkin, fakes the handoff, keeps it.
He's got room.
If he can get to the outside, he does. Matt Miller, and Miller pulls him down after a pickup of about a yard.
Well, I thought Durkin was going to get a little more out of that, but East Brunswick adjusted very well.
Let's call it 3rd and 8.
And you got to believe Warren Wolf. He seems to be a person that when he sees something working, he goes right back to it.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to hit that man deep down the middle again.
We're just about inside 1 minute to go, 3rd period. Stefanski split wide right here, but he's got double coverage. Durkin is being pressured. And he's going to be dropped.
And there were a host of tacklers in there, including Sank Ugar.
DiGiovanni was there.
Right.
And this time, give the defensive backs some credit here because Durkin couldn't find anyone because they all were covered.
All right, East Brunswick should get the ball in excellent field position here.
Ball's now at the Brick 24. They'll punt it. A low spiral, going to be fielded by Harmon. He reverses it to Mahoney. Mahoney gets by one tackler, he's got the sideline, and a fine return across midfield.
Well, that's the first time I've seen a reverse where you go back 5, you give up 5 yards to make the reverse work.
Right.
But they did pick up some yards, so.
All right, 12 seconds remain for the Bears. The ball is at the Brick 40-yard line. So East Brunswick has fine field position. Forte faking.
There's
Looking
Giroux.
downfield. There's Giroux all by himself. Run and shoot offense. There it was at the 10-yard line.
Excellent play.
Beautiful play. The thing about it, they had Trent wide open as well, deep.
That was very fluid, Phil. It looks like the line was doing its job that time. Brian seemed to certainly be relaxed.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter, gentlemen.
Okay.
East Brunswick on top, 18-6, and they're threatening once again. The ball is around the Brick 10-yard line.
Exactly. Looks like, is that Sulfaconic, 62? Captain Don Sulfaconic, a little shaken up on that play.
We got contrasting coaches here. We got Warren Wolf, who's been around for 30 years, and you got Marcus Borden, who's been around for, 5 years?
This is his 5th year.
His 5th year. Warren Wolf never goes on the field, and seems like Marcus Borden is always on the field.
He pays rent to Charlie King.
Exactly.
Warren Wolf, distinguished looking guy, what a character. He's the deputy superintendent of schools for Brick Township as well. Well respected in Brick Township, well respected around the state for his number of state championship teams. He's just the character, an awful nice guy.
And we have no verification, but my understanding is this may be the last in the series of games with Brick Township. We do know that another 2-year agreement was made with Cherokee.
All right, the Bears come out 1st and 10 on the Brick 10. Forte has Trent wide left. He fakes, throws it up for Giroux, all by himself, touchdown!
Very nice.
Joe Giroux.
Brick defender tripped on that, but I don't think it would have made it too much difference. That was just a nice timing play, good connection.
Joe Giroux, we didn't talk about him much in the pregame, but he's shown a nice touch here lately himself. 2 fine catches in this drive here.
Well, are we going to see an extra point kick or a 2-pointer? Somebody's not out on the field. That's Sean Smith.
And they're going to give Miller a chance, we hope. And a delay of game is going to be called.
They did it purposely. They just want to stretch it out so he could get more distance on it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Drew goes, takes the pass 8 yards for the score. The Bears are now up 24-6. And the penalty will move East Brunswick back 5 yards for the extra point.
So let's just say that that Josh Miller is going to be going for what? A 25-yard field goal, even though it's an extra point.
Let's clarify that.
Actually, it wasn't a delay of game. The clock does not start. It was a motion call against East Brunswick, I believe. Anyway, Josh Miller will put it up.
That is through.
And through. And the Bears are on top 25-6.
Did you hear the cheer of the crowd there?
I sure did.
Okay, well,
I think it's good to see Miller get one through the uprights.
Well, it's interesting that the cheer was louder for the extra point than it was for the touchdown. That's
You know, we've been speaking of cheering, and as you look on your screen, you see Mike Pachulik, and he is known throughout the school as super fan. He's sitting, and that's one of the few times you'll see Mike sitting.
He's not animated right now, but I'll tell you what, he can
There
get
he
the crowd
goes.
up.
he graduated last year, but he's still considered the super fan for East Brunswick. Last week against Cherokee, when they were down 33-14, Mike was the one that was getting the fans up in the stands, getting them excited, getting them back in the game. So he is super fan.
And we're pleased to recognize Mike for his contributions to the team and their vital contributions.
So the momentum has really turned in favor of East Brunswick now with the 25-6 lead. And I think we have to go back to that long one to Raymond Trent, Phil. They answered back after Brick had come back with its first score.
That's right.
Okay, Miller ready to kick it off. 11:55 to go here in the 4th period. And Miller once again sends it high and deep. This is Bokesh at about the 8-yard line. And he's going to be dropped hard.
I'd like to see who was in on that tackle. That has to be. There was one player in there that really came in. We don't have number 19.
No, it's
Is it Rulo?
Joey DeVito.
Joe DeVito?
And Greg Rulo.
Okay.
So Brick, again, poor field position at about their 18-yard line.
Well, you can look for Brick to open it up. They
Right.
know they got to play catch-up ball now. That Delaware wing T won't help them down, so they'll spread it out and be looking to put it up.
Durkin dropping back, has some time, dumps a little screen to Christopher.
All things considered, that
Well,
was
he can be Carpenter if you want.
exactly. But all
having
things
some-
considered, that wasn't too bad of a play for East Brunswick. That could have gone for a lot more yardage.
I'm having work done on my home, so you guys will have to forgive me.
Is the bathroom done yet?
As long as you don't call him Plumber, John, all right?
That's next. Let's call it 2nd and 4. Ball now at the Brick 25. That's first game for me too. Durkin, ball batted at the line of scrimmage. Was it picked off?
Yes, yes.
Yes, an interception. East Brunswick, I don't know who it was, we'll see.
I believe it was Holcomb, perhaps. No, number 81, 91.
Mark Flynn.
He's on your screen.
Mark Flynn picks up the deflected pass for the
Right.
interception. And East Brunswick now has the ball at the Brick 25.
So Flynn happens to be the recipient of a little game of touch ball and gets that interception.
It's got to make them feel good.
And we have a timeout, officials timeout.
I'll tell you what, knowing Marcus Borden, Phil, he goes, first play, you watch, you go to the end zone.
You might be right.
Well, it looks like Trent will have single coverage. It'll be interesting to see.
Here we go.
Ramon Trent, all by himself out here. Single coverage. That looking pass seems to be there, and there it is, a pump, and back
there he
out.
is.
Forte to Trent, all by himself. He lost sight of the ball.
That's too bad. Raymond was turning himself around looking for the ball.
He had the man beat.
I'll tell you, what a weapon this young man's going to be.
He really is. If you can get single coverage, I'll tell you what, there's not going to be too many times that Raymond's going to not beat his man.
The thing about it is he had him beat on the slant. When he pumped, he was open, and then
Right.
he broke downfield.
All right, the Bears 2nd and 10 on the Brick 25. Trent out wide right again. Forte is going to be looking. He's being pressured. Gets the ball up. Incomplete. He was looking for Maloney or Harmon. Both were in the area.
And Forte is sacked again, hit again,
Right. Brick was blitzing on that play, Phil.
which they've been doing an awful lot this
Right.
game. That's,
Well, if
that's,
he's- go ahead, I'm
that's
sorry.
really why I like the screen pass. They've been doing an awful lot of blitzing, and it's just so ripe to burn them with it.
Okay, the Bears 3rd and 10. Forte, flag
Well,
is
we got a flag
thrown,
here.
and I think we're going to have a motion against Ramon Trent. I think he's moving.
And that's the inexperience factor. He's got all the natural tools, but these are the things that he's going to have to learn. He's probably anticipating that the play was called, you know, his number, and he just wanted to get out there, and that half step is all it takes. But those things will take care of themselves.
They most definitely will.
Well, one thing he's got to learn is to look in at the ball.
Well, if the Bears are not successful in converting this first down, that's going to make the field goal try for Josh Miller a little longer.
It'll make it 3rd and 15 now from the Brick 30. Let's see, double coverage now on Trent. So that means Giroux is out there by himself. Forte steps up in the pocket, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. He's fighting.
Finally down.
Somewhat of a late whistle.
Okay, we're going to have Miller in here for about a 47-yard try.
The ball will be at the Brick 31.
And I'll tell you what, this is not an easy kick. It's from the left hash mark. He's spotting it on about the 38-yard line, so that's 48 yards. And I'll tell you what, that's tough for anybody here.
All right, Josh Miller snaps a little high. The ball's down. It's blocked at the line. And the Brick player will pick it up.
He's got some room here.
And a nice play by number 62, Don Sofokanich.
And I would not look too harshly on that play because with that 48-yarder, Josh had to have a low trajectory to get a lot of velocity on it, and he just couldn't get it over the tops of the Bricks players' heads.
Still, the timing with the whole mechanism seems to be somewhat off.
Does it, Phil?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
All right, no real harm done. Brick has the ball on their own 23. They trail 25-6 with 9:05 to go in the game.
Seems to be a comfortable lead at this point.
Durkin dropping back, Looking over the middle, he's got his man. I believe that's Farley.
Apparently, Senk Ugar has won himself a job, because I've seen him out there an awful lot tonight.
Well, I said in the pregame, Jimmy, I was terribly impressed with him in the Cherokee game. He was around that ball. He wasn't always making a tackle, but he was around that ball, and you like to see that.
1st and 10 for the Green Dragons. Ball on their own 34. Receiver split wide. Durkin's going to keep it. And a nice open field tackle. Number 55 for the Bears. That's John Flynn.
And he's the right side linebacker.
Durkin picks up about 3 yards. 2nd and about 7.
John Flynn came on at the end of last year, if you remember. He got into a few games and looked very good, and he's starting to really develop now.
Ball on the brick 37. 2nd and 7. Durkin drops back. He's got some time. He's looking over the middle. He's got his man, and a big hit, but he hits number 15, Scott Lloyd.
East Brunswick, with its 25-6 lead, is bending just a little bit, allowing a little more room over the middle, and Brick is taking advantage of it.
1st and 10 on the East Brunswick 42. 7:58 to go here in the 4th period. Brick is trailing 25-6. Durkin pumps, being pressured. He's going to be dropped for a loss at the 50.
Well, that time East Brunswick was ready. Host of tacklers on that for the Bears. We have
John
Mike Hack,
Flynn.
right? John Flynn. DeGiovanni was in there, I believe.
DeGiovanni, Flynn, and Miller.
Okay.
Loss of about 6. Let's call it 2nd and 16. Ball on the East Brunswick 48. Time is running and against Brick Township at this point. Durkin, he's being pressured from the backside. Flynn hits him. It's up in the air. Flynn just leveled Durkin from the blind side.
And that's where you don't like to get hit.
John Flynn flying through, and you're right, John. He leveled him. A nice, clean hit.
So East Brunswick exerting the pressure when it needs to.
3rd and 16. Brick really needs to score on this possession. They can't afford to waste too much more time. They've got to get into the end zone and try to get that ball back. Durkin has 2 end split left. East Brunswick laying back on the defense. They'll give him the short pass. Durkin looking around. I don't know what he's looking for. Now he tries to throw it over the middle. He's got his man. It'll be short of the 1st down. That was Lloyd again.
Nice pass, nice catch.
Really was a nice play.
And they'll go for it.
He certainly will.
Fourth and about 7.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that pass really showed me something about Todd Durkin. He was in deep trouble. He was able to get out of it and still have the sense to find his receiver.
And he's only a junior.
Let's call it 4th and 6 on the East Brunswick 38. And timeout, official timeout. No, it's called by East Brunswick.
Okay, so that leaves them with 1 left. Apparently they were alarmed enough so that Brick needing only 6 yards here. This is a very crucial play right here. Without this 1st down, I think the Green Dragons can probably pack up and go home, because it's 25-6 right now. They need this 1st down to continue the drive. They need this touchdown.
You're exactly right. They have defensive coordinator Nick Spadafino out on the field now, and I'm sure he's letting them know, listen, we don't want to give them this 1st down. We don't want them scoring again, and making sure everybody does their assignment properly. Of course, on defense, all you have to do is cover your area and let it go.
All right, when Brick comes back over the ball, they'll be facing a 4th and 6 at the East Brunswick 38. They trail 25-6 with 6 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the ball game. As Jimmy said, this could be a big play for Brick. in this game tonight. Durkin dropping back. He's feeling pressure. Flynn again.
Flynn from the right side.
Flynn, his second sack.
And the defense found something on that right side, apparently.
Nobody's touching him, and he's coming wide open.
And that really sort of puts the nail in the coffin for Brick. East Brunswick can afford to play conservative, although I don't think that's going to be the case, Phil. I think that Brian would still like to test his arm. Get another score here.
All right, the Bears come out on offense. They have Trent and Giroux wide right, I formation. And Harmon fumbles the ball. Let's see who has it.
Well, the Brick people are signaling that they have it.
The man with the white hat will tell us. Do they unpile everyone down there? And Brick has it. Brick's recovered a Harmon fumble. 5:39 to go.
So they have life.
Mark Harmon, for all he's done in these first two games, it hasn't been a whole lot in the rushing area. In Cherokee last week, he had 11 yards rushing. Of course, he had the big kickoff return, but from pure rushing.
Well, Philly hasn't carried the ball this half, believe it or not. That was his first carry this half.
I'm surprised.
Okay, Brick has Lloyd in motion. Durkin dropping back.
Here
Flynn's
comes
coming
Flynn.
again. Over the middle. Nice play by Brunig. Great defensive play.
Really was.
Flynn is flying.
We ought to keep our eye on John Flynn and find out if he's either beating his man or nobody's blocking him.
Nobody's picking him up. He did have a little token pressure that time defense, but he slid right past that.
2nd and 10 now for the Green Dragons. We haven't mentioned Bill Brunig much, but that was a fine defensive play.
It was. Co-captain. Now Flynn is out here covering a pass receiver.
A little dump pass to Crank. Crank trying to get to the outside, slips and falls. He'll pick up about 7 yards.
All this is well and good for Brick, but unfortunately a lot of time is being used. We're what, the 5-minute mark, John?
Just under 5 minutes
Right.
to go in the game, and the clock is running.
I think we should mention that this Thursday, East Brunswick will again be in action. They will be traveling to Old Bridge, Vince Lombardi Field, to meet Madison Central.
In what?
Excuse me?
In what?
Football, Phil, football. Durkin being pressured. He gets it off somehow to Farley. Farley's got the first down. I'll tell you, I've been impressed with Durkin.
Oh, yes, he's kept his poise.
The ball is spotted at the East Brunswick 31. Durkin now, 4:12 to go, the clock running.
There's 15 over the middle.
He's got Lloyd. Lloyd's all by himself. If he's got some speed, he's going to score.
He's in.
He's in.
Well, that was a blown assignment there. I think we'll have to look at that one on the films.
You're exactly right, Jimmy. I can't tell you what happened there, but somebody blew it.
Just simply a miscue. It looked like the defender that was covering for East Brunswick sort of froze.
Brick now will appear to kick for the extra point.
Appear to, because I think they're going for 2. Or at least they ought to. They need to get closer.
Here's the kick. It's up. And it's good. A good foot. That was Durkin. This kid does it all.
Does it all.
So the score is now East Brunswick 25, Brick 13 with 4 minutes and 1 second to go in the ball game. And we'll see if Brick comes with an onside.
Yeah, the clock is definitely a factor at this point with 4 minutes left to go. Brick really needs 2 more scores. So I mentioned that next week, next Thursday, the Bears will be traveling to Madison Central. That game, by the way, will be an 8 p.m. start.
While we have a moment, I just want to remind our fans that the snack bar which has been here since, I think, the creation of the stadium, is once again open. And we like to say hello to all our friends over there, Rick Ronchi and the crew.
Right.
And we strongly suggest that at halftime and before and after the game, you stop by and purchase some of their fine goodies. Anyway, we're ready to go here, and Brick's going to kick it off to the Bears. It's an onside kick. The ball is fumbled, and Brick has it.
We sure do.
I believe Brick has it. I may have been a little premature. Let's see.
They have it.
Yes. 3:56 to go. 25-13.
Well, Jimmy, East Brunswick wasn't fooled. They knew it was going to be an onside kick, and they had some of the people up there that have good hands. Unfortunately, the ball got to the young man's chest, bounced off his chest, and was recovered by Brick.
All right, they'll have it 1st and 10 on the East Brunswick 49. Durkin faking, setting up, got some time over the middle. He's got Farley. 8-yard pickup.
And Brick going with a huddle. Really need to have about 3 or 4 plays called here.
Ball is at the 40, let's call it the 43 of East Brunswick. 2nd and about 3. 2 men split wide left. Crank goes in motion. Farley's going to try a quarterback keeper. I don't understand that play, and he's taken right down. 3 minutes to go now in the game.
Well, I wonder what's going through Marcus Borden's mind.
And timeout, Brick.
Bill.
Well, I think he's concerned and whatnot, certainly about, I don't think it's not so much about the game, but there's been a certain amount of sloppiness.
Right.
And, you know, coaches think about that. They think about execution.
It's very true.
And there's been some simple things. There's been muffed extra points. There's been fumbles. And there's been a blown onside kick recovery.
Well, we've seen some really good things by East Brunswick. I think the Forte to Trent connection has pretty much established itself now. And that's something that any opponent's going to have to watch. But just these lapses that seem to occur. And again, they're mistakes. And the mental mistakes that we've seen also have hurt.
I think something else, too, that regardless of how talented Forte and Trent are, you cannot rely on a passing game. And until you can get that running game established, and East Brunswick really has not done that yet thus far. Against Cherokee now, even tonight against Brick, they have not gotten Harmon out to the outside. They've not gotten DeVito up through the middle. And so, fortunately, they have that passing game.
Fortunately, they have enough talent to get in spite of all that.
All right, 3rd and 3 now for Brick on the East Brunswick 43. 3 minutes even to go. Durkin looking inside for Farley, right through his hands. I'm sorry, it was for Lloyd.
Exactly, and that went right into, I believe it was Mark Harmon's hands.
4th down.
You're right.
He was open. So was Harmon.
And Harmon was open too. I think he was surprised to see the ball there that quick.
And another timeout. Timeout on the clock stops rather on an incomplete pass. 25-13. Durkin, 4th down. He's got to do something here. He lays it up in the middle. And for Farley, no, Caprino rather, who caught the touchdown pass. And the Bears will take over.
Well, they've dodged that bullet.
They sure did.
2:51 to go. This is where you'd like to see that strong running game.
Precisely. I think the Bears just need to run out the clock. John, you have timeouts on Brick. How many do they have left?
They have 2 left.
Okay.
Unofficially. First and 10 for the Bears. 2 men wide right. Hand off to Harmon. Harmon picks up about a yard.
That's it. I don't have my pocket calculator with me tonight, so I'll do my best to add these so we have some sort of unofficial stats at the end of the game. But right now, that was Harmon's first, excluding the fumble. He had 43 yards in the first half. And he's bending over right now like he might have had either a leg cramp or...
And the officials will finally call time.
He's limping off.
2:27 to go.
You know, Harmon hasn't seemingly been used that much, but maybe, you know, we don't know if something happened during the week. Sometimes coaches don't always let that information out.
It's always possible.
Let's call it 2nd and 9 for the Bears on their own 44. Here's a pitch wide. This is DeVito. DeVito across the 45. Brick is looking to call a timeout, and they do. So they'll have one timeout left.
All right, so East Brunswick apparently securing this victory will even its record at 1-1, and that also evens the series at 5 games apiece, I believe.
Right.
So I believe this is the 4th win in a row. So at one time, East Brunswick was had itself down 5 games to 1, but has come back. And of course, that was indicative of the strong teams that Brick used to field, as Phil mentioned, back in the 70s. But the last 4 games have been all East Brunswick. Now the Bears are going to want to get on a track with their first conference game against Madison Central, and then we'll be back here October 10th. And that'll be a Saturday night against Edison. That'll be a 7 p.m. game.
And I think Edison won again today, right, Phil?
They did. That Edison team is the team to watch out for this year.
We both agree that
Right.
that's, East Brunswick cannot become complacent against them.
3rd and 7 for the Bears. Ball on their own 46, 2:05 to go. And Forte's going to put it up in the air. He's looking downfield for Trent. Overthrows Trent, but I believe that was DeVito making a dive-in attempt.
Really, coming from the other side of the field, almost able to catch the ball.
And I believe the Bears will punt this one out, put Brick down deep.
Well, Brian did not improve his completion percentage tonight anyway, but he did have some very timely passes. And just based on this game alone, you can see what talent he has.
Okay, Forte, punt formation. Gets off a very high kick. And the Brick team will just let it bounce around. It's killing a lot of time, and the ball is down at about the 22-yard line, and that's where they'll have it with 1:45 to go in the game. They trail by 12, 25-13.
So it'll be interesting to see how Marcus Borden assesses this game. He had a lot of bright spots, and seeing his offense move when it needed to. Yet the lapses came in, but we're not going to belabor that anymore. I think they have to be very thankful just to beat Brick Township.
And Brick has one timeout to work with, and the clock is running. Durkin looking down deep and long, overthrows Stefanski.
It's a nice pass, a nice long pass, just to see a pass. But that's all, nobody near.
1:20 to go, 2nd and 10. Durkin, he's going to put it up. He has to. Trailing by 13. He hits
Great catch.
Farley. And that'll stop the clock as they move the chains.
I'll tell you, this Durkin is impressive. He's moving back. He's got 2 guys coming down on him, hitting him, and he flicks his wrist and gets that ball off like that. Nice pass.
Harmon is down on the field. I believe he's got a leg cramp. Phil Hostler will go out. The ball is now at the Brick 42, 1st and 10 with 1:11 to go.
Hamstring.
Is that what it is?
It appears to be.
If that's a hamstring, I'll tell you what, that can be a rather disabling injury. Players don't normally bounce back from them too often.
He's grabbing the back of that thigh there.
Oh, yes. That could be a source of concern.
Well, remember not too many years ago, East Brunswick had a great middle linebacker that had the same problem.
That's right, Bob Rushnick.
At Maryland.
That's right, Bob's at Maryland, but Bob had terrible hamstring problems. Anyway, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Green Dragons. They have 1 timeout remaining and 1:11. Durkin looking downfield, overthrows Lloyd. That'll stop the clock with 1:04.
Well, we have to wonder about the condition of Mark Harmon. He seems to be walking okay, but this is the type of injury that can tighten up after the game, so we really won't know.
I mean, you really don't get a cramp there, up that high.
Correct.
Durkin looking down the field, pumps, looking for an open man, getting no help. Basically throws it away.
Good pressure there again by the East Brunswick defense, as it has done all the second half.
56 seconds to go in the ball game, 3rd and 10. Durkin throwing it up long, deep, and overthrows Kleisler.
This kid can throw a ball.
Sure can.
Kleisler was swarmed by East Brunswick defenders, including Bill Brunig. And that'll bring up a 4th and 10.
Captain Bill Brunig, he's been, as I said, early in the years, Achilles heel, and that can be a real nagging injury. It just makes you uncomfortable, but he seems to have adjusted fairly well.
48 seconds to go in the ball game. East Brunswick on top, 25-13, as they look to win their home opener of the '87 season. Over the middle, deflected. Dave Goldstein deflected that ball away, and so the Bears will take over on downs with 42 seconds.
I think Brian Forte will come in again. I wonder whether or not he should be coming into the game at this late stage with only 42 seconds, but apparently he wants to add to his statistics. Right now he's 6 for 17.
Apparently he's following the orders of the coaches.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, East Brunswick has Trent and Giroux out wide right. Forte is just going to go down to one knee.
I see. There's the wisdom, and that'll add to his loss total, by the way.
Timeout will be called. Brick's last timeout.
I have to tell you, I'm looking at the statistics, and East Brunswick on the plus side has 63 yards rushing, but Brian Forte, if I'm not mistaken, has about 53 yards in losses. So their net rushing game is going to be about 10 to 12 yards tonight, Phil.
Strange game. Strange game.
And while we also have a chance, I had mentioned that Forte was 6 for 17 with 222 yards, including those 2 touchdown passes, one going to Giroux for 13 yards and the other being Raymond Trent's for 83 yards.
34 seconds.
I'm going to check myself. We forgot that fake kick, punt. So that's 3 touchdown passes. So East Brunswick pretty much doing it through the air tonight.
And Brick cannot stop the clock any longer, so I think we'll see the same thing where Brian will just take the snap, run back, and drop to one knee.
And they're coming through.
Brian should just touch that knee and stand up. Seriously, he's crawling around, and someone could easily roll him over.
Mm-hmm.
And that should about do it.
Exactly.
So East Brunswick and Brick complete their rivalry, both winning 5 games.
Should we have a bumper game next year?
You almost should. I mean, they've provided a lot of excitement over the years.
Well, usually these games are scheduled with a home and home.
And East Brunswick has won their home opener, 25-13, as you see the teams come across to the middle of the field and congratulate one another. And as we said, it was somewhat of an unusual game the first half. The second half, East Brunswick came out and made some adjustments. One notably was to go to Trent, Ramon Trent, who was receiving single coverage most of the game. We had talked about it at halftime.
Right.
And that's what they did. And Trent, beautiful pass there, about 83 yards. Right. Defense stiffened. So we've seen two different teams this game, the first half and then the second half. Phil?
Strange game. It's a win, first of all, and Marcus Borden should rightfully be very happy about it. The East Brunswick team should certainly be happy about it. Football is a strange game. Sometimes you can lose a game and feel very good early on, then later on in the week you feel bad because you realize it's a loss. And other times you can win a game and not feel so good, and then later on in the week feel very good about it because it's a win.
Yeah.
And so it's a strange game. If I were to tell you that East Brunswick in 2 games would have less than 150 yards rushing, we would think probably that they'd be 0-2.
Right.
And they have some big pass plays, but not too much in the way of consistency. I think Marcus Borden is concerned about some things. There's some good teams on the schedule. We spoke about that Edison team, Madison Central coming up, which I know he's concerned about. And I think he's going to look for more consistency, cutting down on some of the penalties and some of the downright sloppiness on some of the things.
Jimmy?
Phil, excuse me, I echo the same feelings that Phil has. It's a win, and you always like a win, and I think we can't underestimate that Brick Township, as we set up on top, is a quality ball club.
Right.
And, after all is said and done, the final is 25-13. East Brunswick has a win, but there are some concerns. I'm concerned about Mark Harmon. I really am. A hamstring is a funny type of injury. It can heal fast. It can heal slow. And I still believe that without Mark Harmon in there, East Brunswick loses a valuable part of its offense. They cannot rely on Brian Forte to Ramon Trent or Joe Giroux for that matter.
Yeah, it is. While it's a win, and East Brunswick brings their record now up to 1-1, there's some concern. The running game is not there yet. Yes, the passing game is there, but it's inconsistent. I think on the plus side, you've had some outstanding play by Flynn.
Great game tonight.
Great game tonight, and Trent is getting better with every game. So Marcus Borden's got a lot to sort out. He's got some things to be happy about, obviously, and there's some things he needs to correct because Madison Central is going to be up for this game. And East Brunswick remembers last year that Madison Central knocked them from the unbeaten ranks. So we go with you next week to Madison Central to bring you that game. It's a Thursday night game, and we hope that you're going to be with us. So for Phil Hill and Jim Allinder, I'm John Meggiolaro saying goodnight, where the final here at East Brunswick was East Brunswick 25, Brick 13.